you can go ahead and click it.
All right.
And then for anybody in chat, can you guys tell us just like testing, 1, 2, 3, just for audio volumes? How's everybody sounding? If you guys want to say something.
Testing.
I sound okay. Maybe.
You sound fine to us. I just was checking with chat too.
Let us know, chat, how we sounding. The Inferno says we sounds good to him. Inferno ring. Yep. Snaldo, we good. Said we good.
All right.
The urge.
We'll grab that final sip and we'll get everything going.
Mm-hmm.
Morning, Aries. How you doing? Dakota, Cyanidors. Good afternoon. Yeah, for those of you guys across the pond, it's like, what's up? I've been awake for hours. Where you been? All right. Well, I'm ready when you guys are, so everything should be recording. 30 frames per second. Sweet. All right. Well, I'll do I'd always hold it up for like 3, 2, 1, and then he kind of takes it over. So I'm gonna let him run this ship to start and embarrass you as always. So everybody get ready.
All right, and we are live. The Last Word with Lord Cognito and Ebontis, special campfire edition. What we got going on, man? A little special day today?
Yeah, there's like competition trying to come back into this world. We got stonks to deal with, and the best part of this is the fact that we've got an awesome guest coming in here with us. So I'm gonna pass it right back and let you do it as you always do, sir. Who do we got today?
Let us see, man. Well, let's get it started, man. Welcome to The Last Word, episode number 90. And it's another glorious Friday. We're back in front of the campfire for some more looter-shooter discussion. I'm extremely excited about our special guest, so we're going to get right into it. I want to introduce a lord who is not only considered a good friend to the campfire, but whose passion for Destiny and the looter-shooter genre truly resonates in every article and every hot take he shares within our Destiny community. Introducing the renowned science fiction novelist and outstanding video games writer for Forbes.com. The lord of writing the most progressive changes to the Destiny sandbox, yet still the most feared lord of suggesting nerfs to Bungie throughout the realm. Live from Ohio and making his return into the realm of The Last Word, my man, Lord Paul Tassi. How you doing, sir?
Good. That lives up to expectations. So
So you set the bar on the first one. Now you set your own self up, Cognito. You're like, oh man.
He delivered. I like it.
Yeah. I got the Nerf Lord with me right now, man. Everyone's in fear. This man even breathes about.
To be fair,
I was like, Paul Tassi's word is gospel, so you got to be careful what you say today, because Bungie is hopefully listening to us.
It's so funny because
maybe, but
yeah.
Tassi, don't you think that sometimes like people legit are in fear when you actually mention something that might need to be checked a little bit from a balance standpoint?
That happens. But like if I'm mentioning it, chances are Bungie already knows, but I mean, no one cares.
But it's made it across your desk. They're like, all right, now we got to take it seriously because Forbes said something, so they're serious. We got to take it serious.
Yeah,
no doubt, man. What's going on, man? How you been, man?
Been good. Glad to be on again. This is
absolutely
an awesome show. So thanks for having me back.
No
Appreciate
doubt. Pleasure,
that.
man.
You've been busy, sir. In case you guys haven't been following this man, please follow him on Twitter at Paul Tassi. He is all over the place. His face and voice is on many a podcast. So if you don't catch him here, you'll be able to find him usually somewhere, probably once a week. So he's a frequent podcaster at this point, but we are lucky to steal his Friday morning away. Got a couple articles out already, and we've got some stuff to talk about. So we may as well just jump right in, guys. It has been a crazy couple of weeks. I was under the weather. I will take the blame. Last week I was sick. I got my fever/crap kicking all the way through me. So that one's finally done. I don't know if you guys have been faced. You guys like make it through this year fairly unscathed, or you guys hit anything yet?
No, I got hit hard too, man. I had the same thing about a month ago. It took a long while. It took about like 2 weeks to fight it off. So it's going around. So when I knew you had it, I'm like, yeah, he's hurting. He's hurting right now. That thing's no joke, man.
Yeah, I've been lucky this year, knock on wood, but it's still winter, so we'll see.
Mine doesn't come that often, but man, when it does, it feels like I get it like every other year, and it's like, all right, now it's gonna kick you in the face. So I got mine.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'm good for a bit. But yeah, sickness aside, what have you guys been up to in Destiny? Have you guys been playing the market?
Let's get this. How's the stocks treating you?
It's buy high, sell low, right? That's how you do it.
Yeah, I love the community memes and stuff that have come from this, but I can't say that like I'm personally on the like you must invest like these weeks and then donate these weeks. Like I got my Triumph, I'm getting 10,000 or whatever resonance a week. I do some roll farming and then I just keep going. Like I'm not terribly concerned about us hitting the end goal, so. I don't know. I'm not like a streamer trying to hype people up, so I'm just going to kind of do whatever I need to do. Not that I blame people for investing, because like technically it's the right play to make if you want like maximum, rolls and everything, and like then you can shard stuff for cores, and like it's a good idea. It's just I don't care that much. I'm doing other stuff.
He's a busy man. He's got stuff to do.
Busy man in Destiny, not generally.
Well, I mean, it's relative, but
yeah.
Cognito, what about you? Have you been investing? Have you been just like letting the community do their thing? What are you up to?
I'm kind of letting the community do their thing. Selfishly, it's just all about the last thing that was eluding me was the perfect paradox god roll, which for me is the trench barrel demolitionist roll. And I swear to God, like they would not give me this roll. So I'm like, all right, we just gonna keep on investing until I get this thing, man. So literally. My season pass started going through the roof, and shout out to Forte, he's in the chat. He saw me there, and until I finally got that, and then once I got that, I kind of just chilled out. I mean, all my obelisks were fairly high, resonance, pretty high. So I'm just chilling. I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like community is going to get there. I'm not. My donation is not going to be the single reason why things get to where it has, but that's been pretty much it for me. Just getting that paradox roll. I literally got all the god rolls that I want. I got from my Martyr's Retribution with what is it? The one that reloads. Auto loading with Demolitionist. Yeah. I've been a huge fan of Demolition. Everything with me right now is like Demolitionist.
I have Demolitionist on everything.
Yeah, like Demolitionist everything. I want to get my grenades back. I got this 6 solar Warlock build. And with sun bracers, and I'm loving it, man. So everything's been synergized with the entire artifact, and I think the only thing I haven't gotten is the one I haven't got like 8 god roll breach lights like Tassi. I know you've been.
you gotta get some good breach lights. That's like one of my favorite guns in the whole game now.
What's the roll I should go for? Like I haven't really used items.
He's got 8, so pick one.
Okay, so the ones I have are Outlaw Rampage, Outlaw Multi-Kill Clip, Demolitionist Vorpal. That's the one I'm using on my Hunter sidearm build. Nice. And then Outlaw Vorpal. It's for me personally, I think it's the one weapon where Vorpal is just like a must have. Like it actually does serious damage to bosses. Like maybe that and the sniper, but I don't know. Like the auto rifle and the scout, I don't really think Vorpal does all that much, even with the boss spec. But the breach light, it absolutely does. And because it's a sidearm and it hits so hard, you don't really even need like ad clearing perks. Like you don't need really Rampage or multi-kill clip for those enemies. So that's why I just slap Vorpal on pretty much all my top rolls for it, because it's just, it clears everything anyway. So
I'm glad you said that, because I need to really stop sleeping on Vorpal. I need to give it, I got a couple of weapons that I've been like not using, and you know what it is, because I think historically, usually when a new perk comes out from Bungie, like, it's not going to be that powerful. Yeah. But you're like the second person that's like, no, Vorpal is it. So I'm going to give it a shot, man. What about you, E?
Let me know.
For me, I've got about 25,000 resonance power. And I think I'm pretty much going to call it there. I've been doing, I did a little bit the other, like a day or two ago when it was Simulation Seed Farming Day again. And I was just like, I can't do this. Now, I feel completely sorry for anybody on console, but for those of us on, I don't know if console is dealing with the same, like 25 people hit the tower at the same time, but that whole tower instancing thing is so much more abundant now because people are back and forth and back and forth. Oh, I was getting so tired. That's why I was like, I'm done. I'm like, 25,000 is good. Do that for a few weeks. Now I just got to start donating and kind of going through some weapon bounties and stuff. But I mean, I didn't expect the light infused Fractaline to do quite what it did for us to be farming it that way when we all did the free Empyrean guides and stuff like that. But now that we have that, it's like, hey, what are you going to do? Well, you could just go crazy. Like some people who have like 700,000 residents, they're never going to turn all that in. They're literally going to be spending 7 days just to turn it in.
Week straight.
Pressing
the button.
Exactly. Is it me like, should there be an option for more than 100 per? You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
like,
there should be a 400 option for sure for your bounties, and then there should be like if you just have butt tons, just like 9999 at a time. They should they should see some of the stuff people are doing and just like put the little other boxes in there. The 400 should be easy, and the 100 should be like that, not like what. It's way
it should be
too
like
slow.
shader dismantle speed. That's how
Yes.
Yeah.
Because like, oh no, I turned it 100. Okay.
Yeah,
So
what's the
what?
worst that happens? I mean,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like I've heard people like, delete entire stacks of like mods before, but you can do this thing slowly. So of course that helps.
I did that. Yeah.
Agreed.
Pop Investor put in 700,000 yesterday. Yeah, I saw
Wow.
that.
That's the max, isn't it? I don't think you
Wow.
can even hold more than
I think that's what
700,000
somebody said was
Fractaline.
like
Yeah.
50 inventory slots and then 20 postmaster
How
slots.
do you
and then
even
you're
get
capped.
50 free inventory slots? You can't even. Some stuff you can't even put in your vault. It's like not even possible. So like,
Yeah.
I mean, he
you
probably
have to
got
just
rid
use
of
everything.
everything. Yeah, I
He
guess
got rid
so.
of everything.
Yeah,
That's
my-
crazy.
yeah. It seems ridiculous to me. Now, this is the big question I wanted to ask both of you because I have a thought
Let's
on this
get
as
it.
well. Whether we do 1 or 100,000 or 12 or any, come March 10th, is any of this even going to matter?
Let's let Tassi answer this.
No, I mean
Exactly.
the community event is doing what it's supposed to do. Like it's energizing the community. Like
It's
we've had all these
draining your
memes. Like we're
resources.
talking about it. Like it's a thing. Like invest,
Mhm.
donate became like a whole community thing. And so like
Mhm.
it's fun in that regard, and it's very rewarding. Like we're getting just unlimited rolls and stuff out of it. So if you missed stuff earlier in the season with Sundial, you can get just endless rolls now, and that's so it's rewarding to participate in.
Yeah.
I think that we could finish early, and then when we finish, we'll unlock the story quests. We're not going to unlock like the season or trials early. So
Right.
like March 10th
Yeah.
is still going to be
Mhm.
March 10th. It's just a matter of how fast we get to like the precursor stuff. And like these events are designed not to fail. This is why they're not telling us what the goals are ahead of time.
Right.
Because if they mapped it out and it was like way too out there and impossible, they'd be like, well, what are you going to do? So
we're
I think
pushing
I-
off season 10.
I saw there was a Pokemon community event like a couple of years ago where it was like, we want the community to catch like 300 billion Pokemon, and they did like 8% of it, and everyone was like, So like after that, like community events are designed to be
Of
beatable.
course.
So,
Of course.
but I think it still works for its purposes here, and this feels like
Yeah.
a good kind of feel good moment for the community. So I think it's been fine.
Yeah, like literally the last word we did, we had this discussion, right?
Yeah.
And it was one of those things that I know I was a bit harsh, but I was like, it's fraudery, like in a good way. Like, don't get me wrong, like I love that I had this discussion before. Like, I actually love this season for what it is. I have my expectations in check. Obviously a $10 DLC and stuff like that. I knew we weren't getting another dungeon. I knew we weren't getting another raid. You know what I'm saying? But for the story beats and everything that we got, and this whole thing towards progressing, building trials, having Saint as a character who's an awesome character, I like that. Obviously, I'm an Osiris fanboy, so as soon as he's back, I'm already in. It's a plus 10 DLC already for me. But the whole thing about it was, they had to be creative. I felt Bungie had to be creative in keeping people invested. Now I know the hardcore, I know we'll get to this, may be upset with it's not the hobby game. You can kind of check in and check out, the super hardcore and get everything done. But for the hobbyist, this is cool. They can get in and get a couple stuff. You had your quest. We had our community events and stuff like that. But back to Imperium, this is something I know the community is going to reach. There's no way it's not happening. So again, it's just a fun thing to kind of get people together. And I think this is maybe Bungie's tactic during like a Shadowkeep level drop. I don't anticipate every season to be exactly like this one. Maybe next season, obviously, we'll have trials. I'm expecting some type of bigger player activity, to come. But, I think we kind of got to expect this once in a while in this annual pass format. That's just my thought process on it. Just based on bandwidth and what they actually have available to produce content.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's been season-wise, it's one of the ones like everybody's like best lore ever. Like we've enjoyed what they've done with Saint 14, Osiris coming in. I'm still curious where they're going to leave Osiris in the end of this thing, but we'll just have to see how that goes. Building the tower, like actually doing an in-game thing to build up the next season and visually get a representation of this, tower and going to Mercury and actually seeing all that stuff has been cool. It's just been interesting for one. This is, I forget the last time they did this. I was like, all right, people have too many resources. We got to suck them dry.
Oh, yeah.
So they got to do that. So we're back to that one.
This
as
is a
well.
little less blatant than the Callus tributes where it's like, give me all your bright dust, and it's like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
it's like-
Bright Dust
The
is brutal. I was
Juju
like,
tributes.
yeah, that was
Ooh.
exhausting, but
yeah, those are rough, but
Yeah.
it's like it's the rewards of the season have been so much, but I cannot remember who I was listening to or what, but it is
Mhm.
the point of it. I wanted to ask you guys as we're going through this, it has felt more of a casual season. Like as you said, pop in, pop out, check my ritual boxes. Like the last 3
Mhm.
weeks of the season, if I finish up like I got Python the other day, that thing is
Oh, I
done.
saw you.
Gambit, I'm
Yeah,
done. And then I've got to literally just run some strikes for that one. But I was like, if I get that Savior Triumph and we're just literally like
That's what I
donating
want.
Fractaline, I'll donate, log in one day, and there's 6 days a week. I have no reason to play.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Yeah.
does kind of seem like we are definitely in that waiting mode. It's not a bad thing, obviously, as you said, the bandwidth, we can't always expect it. But I just kind of wondered um, as we go through these times of like the low and then we're getting ready for what's coming, are you just enjoying these breaks? Or you're like, hey, it's kind of nice to not feel like I'm so connected? Or are you wishing you had more of a reason?
Yeah, I'm curious, Tassi, how you feel on that. That's actually a question we've brought up a bunch of times.
yeah, I've been okay with this season. I went in
Mhm.
expecting a light season, and
Mhm.
the fact that these seasons are $10, like to me personally, it's like I think they're underpriced for how much I've been playing and how much I get out of it. Like I got $10 worth of content the first 2 days of playing, like just based on
Facts.
what was added personally.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I mean, I'm expecting it to wind down kind of as things go here, and part of it's my own fault. Where like I farmed Sundial like really hard. I farmed the Battle Pass really hard for the first month.
Yeah.
So I was getting the 4 times drop with the double perks like a month ago. So I got like 95% of all the god rolls I wanted a while ago. So I don't really have anything seasonal to still be farming. However, I am using this kind of downtime to just sort of catch up on old stuff maybe I haven't done. Like I just went back to Heroic Menagerie and got all the swords up ahead of the sword event.
Fantastic sword
King,
article, y'all. Fantastic sword article. Gotta shout you out on that one.
Yeah, and like I'm hoping the sword changes will make that useful. And like I'm just I'm doing a lot of old stuff that I haven't really gotten around to. Like I even grinded forges for a god roll blast furnace that I never ended up getting. So I'm just kind of taking things at my own pace and finishing up stuff in the past. And I know there's like some people that have like every item, every title in the game, but like for 98% of players, there's always something to do if you really want to. And like if you don't, play other games. Like I'm playing Borderlands, I'm gonna do the Division thing. Like it's okay. Like you don't need to be playing Destiny every single day with like brand new content. And if you want to, you can still. Like there is enough stuff to farm where you can theoretically do that, but we can't you can't expect like a new story mission a week or like a new raid every season. Like it's not going to be like that.
I agree. I'm so glad you said that because I've been on that train and listen, of course I love the Shadowkeep level type grind and stuff like that, but again, I have to be realistic, and you said it good in the sense that like for the amount of hours I've put into this game, especially this season, and for the most, it's been a lot. What I'm saying? Just that we're hardcore, we're used to even more harder grinds. I can't legitly get mad and say, Bungie, this is, say this is terrible or this is not when I've put that much amount of hours invested. You know what I'm saying? So I think what it is I understand that top 2% or 5% or whatever it is of that hardcore base who may be frustrated. You know what I'm saying? But there's things for me. There's things to do. You know what I'm saying? And the way I look at it is if you've gotten everything out, like say for example, you're in your situation, Tassi, where you got that season pass, the extra perks for the god rolls, you did your ritual weapons, you did all that stuff. It's okay to step away for a little bit. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? And to me, and I know we'll get into it as far as what's going on with the other looter shooters and stuff like that. Then we got Outriders, Division 2, Anthem, even that Anthem to talk about. You know what I'm saying? I'm actually in a cool place with it. You know what I'm saying? As before when, I can't justify getting into this rage that how dare they? Like, I need to be paying this 40 plus hours. And like, I'm just not at that level. I kind of cringe when I hear people say that when you have plus, a zillion hours in the game, but you're mad that you can't play, plus 50 hours a week or whatever it is. I'm just not there. But where you at, E, with this whole, because there's been pushback with the community. We've been seeing it.
I mean, I'm with you guys to the point of like this has felt like I'm even like season rank 130, and I still feel like I've been ultra casual this season. Like as I said, I just did like Python. I'm like I did the Dawning farm, so I was like I want to get 92 just knocked out, so that was done. And then I've casually just been doing other stuff. But I've felt like probably as casual I've been on a season in quite a while because there hasn't been that much. I've been like, either work has been a little crazy, just a combination of things. But and then I
Mhm.
still don't even feel like I'm that far behind
Yep.
because,
Yep.
like, if you make it through, I feel like I've checked all the boxes. I'm almost done, and I'm just here
Mhm.
looking at these last 3 weeks, and I was honestly debating. I'm like, hey, like, what other game could I play for like 3 weeks while I wait?
Mhm. Mhm.
And honestly, get that like just that fresh perspective when you come back to. If you don't play Destiny for like 3 weeks, you can come back in and be like, yeah,
Mhm.
this game still feels good. Like every time
Right.
you come back from something, it is nice to get that refresher. And I think
Right.
is what you're saying. Some of the ones that do live and breathe this, whether it be,
Mhm.
I mean, it may be a job, it may be Twitch, it may be something where they almost
Right.
have to a
Right.
point, but it is like those couple weeks away sometimes is something they need to get a little perspective. When you pick up that, you fire your Tatara gaze and you're like, damn it, that gun feels good. Like some of those still feel like, and when you said that blast furnace god roll, there's a reason I
Woo.
still have my Go figure is because I don't have that
Oh
gun.
Lord, you and them
Mm.
damn dad
It took
bod guns.
forever, but I got it. But
Yeah.
also I did Niobe Lab, so like I'm doing like really random
Wow.
stuff this season, like truly
Okay.
random. Like there was no
Okay.
reason to do that, but I just did it with a couple of my buddies, and it was fun. Like it was,
Nice.
if you're looking for a challenge in the season and
Mhm.
anything challenging, like go back and do something like that you've never done. Like it's,
Yep.
Mhm.
there's always stuff.
Absolutely. Salute to the bender with the sub E.
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
Yeah. Salute to the bender.
Well, 10 months, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Salute.
But yeah, it's like that's kind of what the season has been. Is like it's actually been nice to give us time, and I'm kind of curious how the pacing of say this season feels because like I mean we had
Mhm.
Shadowkeep, we had Undying. Undying was smaller, Shadowkeep was big.
Right.
This felt like hey, we jam packed this one, might be a little lighter.
Mhm.
I'm curious where the spring actually hits for
Yeah.
season size and stuff because that's that big 6 month cadence from a big
Mhm.
release. So that's like that half a year mark. So I'll be curious to see how big it is in comparison.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, we
Mhm.
also got some changes coming next season,
Yeah.
speaking of, as we go into spring.
Mhm.
Um, I know definitely something you and I probably could commiserate about for hours on Armor
Mhm.
2.0 for sure there, Paul. Um, we've had some issues, and I still, and that's why I was like, I want to kind of let it to you first. I read your article this morning. I want to hear Cognito, and then I'll kind of get into mine. But we
Mhm.
have changes coming to Armor 2.0 in Season of the Worthy, since that cat is out of the bag. Um, but Elemental Affinity is actually going to be able to be changed. And reading yours, I got a little bit more detail on like the cost of the upgrade, which actually I only glanced at it yesterday. And then also
Mhm.
seasonal mods being a little more flexible between like Undying, Dawn, Worthy, quote, whatever's next. I love how they say redacted, but we're just going with
Mhm.
Worthy. So
Of course.
so I wanted to get your guys' thoughts because on the article, just the fact that we're able to change affinity next season, the mods being a little more useful. Just wanted to see your guys' thoughts on that. I know you wrote an article, so if you want to summarize it, you can. But
Mhm.
Yeah,
you had your
sure.
words in line already.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like fundamentally they're good changes. I think
Mhm.
Armor is still in kind of an awkward position because the question is like, okay, if you're going to make affinity changeable, like, do we really even need affinity at all? And isn't just kind of another currency sink? But I feel like with the way Destiny works, if they were
Mhm.
like, okay, we're removing affinity, that would mean like, okay, now you have to refarm all your sets because we can't just like flip the switch and turn it off because that's generally
Mhm.
how the game works.
Mhm.
This example, I think this is a good compromise, I guess,
Mhm.
based on the way things work now. Because so no, I can't just flip over my entire masterwork set to solar because if you could do that for just like 5 enhancement cores,
Right.
essentially, there'd be no reason to ever farm armor
Mhm.
again. Like
Yeah.
what if you
Correct.
have this the set you want, the stats you want,
Mhm.
like the highest stats and the right distribution, there would be no
Mhm.
reason to find any alternate sets really, because then if
Right.
in any context you could just flip it over for really cheap. So in theory, you still want to at least find like three, like or try and masterwork like 3 sets of different affinity armor
Mhm.
that you're comfortable with. And then I think the
Mhm.
affinity thing is really good for exotics because
Yes.
who hasn't seen an exotic drop? You're like, it's like a 64, amazing, and then like, oh, it's arc, like,
Mhm.
But in that
Mhm.
case, it'll cost you pretty much nothing to change it. It'll
Mhm.
just cost you an upgrade module, and so like now I
Mhm.
can make my trick sleeves actually have sidearm reloader, which
Yeah,
or
they work
the
with that
Oh,
whole
bow
I
ones.
can't
synergy,
stand
right?
some of that
Yeah.
stuff. I'll go to Zer and I'll just roll my eyes because it'd be like, oh, this is sidearms. It doesn't have sidearms
Mhm.
with it. Sorry, guys. Like
Yeah.
literally, as I'm recording a video.
And so now that's kind
Mhm.
of a problem in the past. The seasonal mod thing is
Mhm.
interesting. I think that's even more confusing, and I'm still not even 100% on this. So like I'm hearing that the current obelisk mods are going to be available next season,
Mhm.
and you'll be able to use whatever the new armor is and slot those mods. Like obviously, I think they have to leave the obelisks, and like you'll have to be
Right.
able to earn them some other way. But
Right.
I don't think those are going away, which is something I
Right.
kind of assumed would happen all season.
Right.
because it's tied into seasonal content. But someone pointed out to me, like, temporary mods are like the green artifact mods,
Yep.
and then these mods are gray, and like
Mhm.
that's like the sign of a permanent mod. So I'm wondering how that's all going to work. And then they're talking about
Right.
like, okay, it can use mods from the season before
Before,
and
right.
after. So if it's before, it has to be like those have to be sticking around, or else that description doesn't even make sense. So
Yep.
Yeah.
that's kind of cool if we're going to get those Charged with Light mods and then maybe some new Charged with Light mods and Worthy. So that could end up creating a lot of cool builds. The catch is that the further away you get, you are going to start ruling out some of your past sets because
Do you think so?
it's not a permanent. Well, yeah, because they said the season immediately before and immediately after. So once we get to the season after Worthy, your Dawn armor with that slot won't work on whatever those mods are. That's the implication that I get from that. So it's not
So
a
we've
true
got that
universal
window.
slot.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
But at least the window is not just one season now. It's like 2 to 3 seasons. It's like 2 seasons essentially. So
it just says during the seasons before and after. It doesn't say like I don't know how distinct they go before and after because I mean
I saw Cosmo clarify specifically.
Oh, he did?
It
Okay.
was for
I
sure
just haven't
before and
seen
after.
that.
Yeah.
Nice.
So when you get to season 11, you won't be using Undying. If that's what would that be right?
Yes.
Okay.
I lost track of the numbers, but yeah, whatever the season is after Worthy, yes.
Yeah.
At least that's how I interpreted it.
Yeah.
We'll see. It could be different, but I think that's how it is. And so like I guess I understand that too, because like that's another reason they have to keep thinking of some reason to grind armor. And to date, it was just too restrictive with affinity and the seasonal slots that last a season. Because by the time you grinded up any set, then it's the next season, and then it's obsolete. And like I spent 2 months masterworking the set.
Yep.
So if it didn't work for any new mods in Worthy, that would have sucked. But now it's at least 2 months, so that's better.
Preach.
For sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I'll jump in. I mean, this was pleasant. I mean, this is, for me, I was actually surprised we got it this fast, to be honest. I know, community's been complaining.
Could have been faster.
And yeah, I mean, it was. I look, okay,
I mean, I
already know.
No, I was like, I think people complain about this since almost like week 1. So it was like the fact that we are getting it 6 months later is like, I don't know their development cycle time on that, but I was like,
they skip the season, so all the stuff we complain about in Undying gets fixed.
That's how it goes.
Literally, that's what I said.
That's how it works. That's how it works. Listen, man. At the end of the day, I'm appreciative of it. It is something that was looming. Having that investment in armor, and then like Paul said, you get to the end of the season, and you're just like, why even bother? Because this is going to become useless, right? So now we have that whole before and after window. So that gives us a little bit more time as far as investment. I love that aspect. And to be honest, I'm actually surprised at how cheap the actual affinity change is. So, just an upgrade module. I was like, wow, like that's pretty inexpensive.
Just don't buy them for Bright Dust. That's all you got to do.
Hey, I got my weaknesses, but that's over. I stopped. I've turned over a better leaf now. I'm no longer doing that. Yeah, you got to kill me no more. But nah, man. I mean, I thought that was cool. That was huge. And then, like I said, we got that going on with the mods and stuff like that. This is a good change. You know what I'm saying? This is something that's definitely needed. And we're just not getting rid of armor, because that's my whole thing. You got these crazy rolls, these good, equipment, and then you just think in the back of your head, I'm not going to be able to, utilize that. So, the question I have, though, I don't know if I missed this, so you guys can help me out. When we use this upgrade module to change affinity, is it going to be like RNG, or is it a direct path?
No, you can pick.
To. Oh, so it is a direct path per. Okay.
Yeah,
okay, so I could say, hey, I want my exotic whatever to have arc, affinity or whatever.
I think it'll be like a drop down, and then you can pick from the other.
Oh, then you can pick from. Nice.
Yeah,
oh,
I think
okay.
that's how it'll be.
Okay, I thought they were going.
If it was gambling, that would be bad.
Oh, that'd be.
I thought they might pull that.
I mean,
to be honest,
I could see it,
I don't think it's like that.
Okay.
That would really be a shot in the face.
Because I was happy with. I didn't even think they would be this generous. I thought they were going to glass needles 2.0 us,
where you roll get everything.
Yeah, like you got to hit the slots today. And you're like, come on, baby, big money is in void.
Like a coin flip, because there's only 2.
Yeah, it's only 2.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I thought they would go that route, but thankfully they did the right thing.
I will say that the 2 things left for armor, from my perspective, if we're not just like erasing affinity, is more sources of Ascendant shards, and I believe that's going to come at least from Trials. I have to believe Trials will reward Ascendant shards. I'm hoping they do something like a Legend reset or something. In Crucible gives you a shard. That would be cool.
Yeah, that needs to happen.
I want more. Like Gambit somehow should reward shards sometime eventually. Like they just need to spread them out a little more than like running 980 Nightfalls infinitely. Like that's
exactly.
Second thing is we need more sources of high stat drops, and like I have to believe that's coming too. Like it's crazy that there's pretty much two sorts. It's like Iron Banner, sometimes raids, exotics, and then if the season pass gives us another high stat set of armor. But like it's crazy that I can go the entire season and I didn't find one piece higher than the entire high stat set in the battle pass. So even if it's a lower chance for like more random activities, they really got to bring that up because it's pointless to grind for like EP armor. As much as I like that armor, it's never going to be as good as the one I have. So they got to be a little more generous with those stats.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much on that. Shout out to C3. He said he loves the changes, but he said they hope they continue to make content where I feel it's even useful to use these mods for. Yeah, that's my only thing with the what's these current mods
Charged
now?
with light.
Charged with light.
Yeah, I'm not there with the charged with light stuff, to be honest. I messed around with it a little. I mean there is some synergy with certain things that is okay, but I'm not at a whole like really invested in that aspect. So I wanted to get your guys' thought on that. And then shout out to Forte. He mentioned that the upgrade module, you have to add energy to it. The energy doesn't transfer with the Switch. So I'm assuming you still have to make an investment in some type of material stuff with high energy armor.
This is just the cost of like whatever you've put into the armor. You'll have to put it in again if you switch it.
Oh, okay. So it goes back to almost like a default base state.
Either it's going to reset to 1 and then you have to reinvest, or to make the switch entirely, it'll cost like the grand total, I think, of everything you've spent. So that could be like 10
like
enhancement cores, 3 prisms, a shard. Yeah, it's fully masterworked.
So yeah, Tassi, like where you at with the whole season mod, like as far as charged with light stuff?
The charged with light stuff. The problem with that, a lot of that was based on affinity, because so with all 3 of my characters, I picked the Void affinity set, and I master worked as much of it as I could, and then I didn't use really any other legendary armor, so I was only using the Void affinity charged with light mods, and then of those, because a lot of them are so expensive and some of them are very situational, really the only one I use is become charged with light with picking up an orb, and then whatever the protection from the void. So when your shield breaks, you get like a ton of damage protection for like 8 seconds or something. And I found that to be very useful. However, with the affinity thing, I didn't use any of those. And like I know you could do like some like shotgun builds and infinite ammo, and that's cool. But like I didn't have a good arc set to even play around with that for. And then a lot of the other ones, a lot of the other charge with light mechanics where it's like get rapid sniper headshots, or like use a finisher that costs 10% of your energy. Like any mod that requires super, I don't use unless it's like very situational to get special ammo or something. But so I didn't use those. And then a lot of the other ones that aren't the damage protection one cost like 4, 5, 6 energy. And like even in a fully masterwork piece of armor, which is not a given for most people, like I just don't really have room. Like, oh, do I want to eliminate like my recovery or my loaders or my scavenger? Like, there's not enough space. Like, I've been of the mind that I think we need at least either costs need to come down, or we need at least 5 more slots in like every piece of armor. Because I don't think there's enough to make as many interesting builds as we could otherwise, based on how much things cost currently. Because the trade-offs you have to make are just not enjoyable. Like, I don't like killing my stats like to make room for some specialized kind of mod stuff.
Yeah, here's this one minus 20 mobility or whatever it's going to be. Yeah, it's also going to cost you like 5 energy in your thing, and the 5, unless you just masterwork that thing, a lot of people aren't even going to want to go above 7 if they are just not spending currency. So you've got a whole bunch of people not even using.
Yeah, most people don't have the shards, so like everyone's like capped at 7, like if that, if they can spend the cores, and that's you're using 60-70% of your thing just on one mod per slot. So.
Yeah, that's kind of my biggest thing of all the, like, Astrocross had a good video about Charge with Light, and just the same thing I think everybody's been thinking. It's like, it's decent in theory, but it's like, as you said, it's too costly. Like, those should all be maybe 1, just so we can all toy around with, and then maybe if you want to keep that stuff around in Season Worthy, hey, we're adjusting the cost of these things. Let us, like, toy with them a little more when you want to experiment with this whole, like, season of the experiment with, like, the artifact and those mods and stuff like that. If you're going to bring new mods in, don't make them so costly that nobody wants to try them. and the
Right.
use rate is down, I would say much less try that as a lower, as you're saying,
Mhm.
at a lower cost or give us more energy on the armor, whichever
Right.
one's easier to program. I'm guessing the cost number is probably easier for them to fix at this
Mhm.
point, but
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I mean, just to push back a little, I think honestly, it's like I always say, it's Daddy Bungie balance, man. They're always worried. I feel they're always on the cautious side of trying with builds and breaking stuff. They want to give us flexibility, but at the same time, they're like, okay, we're not gonna let them max out 5 intellect and go all out with whatever new perk that may synergize with it. And I think that's why you get a lot of these insane cost prices for certain things. And I think when you look at something like the artifact, they're trying to tailor us towards a certain build. They're trying to tailor us towards solar or whatever. They're trying to tailor us towards using scouts and linear fusion rifle, enhanced loader. Enhanced, aim assist and flinching might be like only +2 because they're trying to, skate us in that build. So I just think it's their way of control. You know what I'm saying? Like
I was like,
they
and that's fine to a
uh
point of them trying to be like, yes, they think they know, but also how many
mhm.
times is Telesto broken? I mean, we had Dawnblade that's
Uh-oh.
crazy. There are times this game occasionally breaks, and
Yes,
if
yes.
they wanted to, when Luke and Mark made their big speech, they wanted to be like,
Hmm.
hey, well, we want to embrace this, massively
Hmm.
like the MMO RPG piece of it. And if you think
Hmm.
about any of the other stuff we're getting ready to talk about, when you think
Hmm.
about builds and stats, and this is where my piece of this comes in. It's like,
Let's
if they
go.
want to get a little deeper into it, I want the
Hmm.
stats to mean more. I want these mods to have a little more
Hmm.
versatility in builds. Like, we are
Hmm.
still a guardian that, like,
Hmm.
if you just honestly, if you take like somebody who's pretty skilled, like take an esoteric, I could
Hmm.
give him any build, any
Hmm.
trash set of armor that's at a reasonable level, and he could go
Hmm.
do pretty much anything. Now, not
Hmm.
everybody could do that, but
Right.
there's a point where you probably shouldn't be able to do that because your
Okay.
gear is not where it should be. You're not specced out for the right thing.
Okay.
So it's like, whether it's like have stats that mean more, I still wish
Hmm.
like resilience actually made you stronger. It really doesn't.
Mm.
It
Hmm.
doesn't. Like, that's one of
Hmm.
those things that bugs me coming from everything I've ever played is, and it's like my brother's the same way, and we'll just like
Hmm.
riff about this. Like
Hmm.
World of Warcraft, like it's not that game, I'm fully aware. But Diablo, like a
Hmm.
barbarian and a caster, you don't even
Hmm.
wear the same armor, much less have the same amount of health. You have like
Hmm.
a mana shield versus health, and that stuff works differently. And I know we're not
Right.
going to take Destiny there, but I
Right.
still would like to see resilience. Like, my joke would be like, take like you have 4 people on a team,
Hmm.
4 hunters that are faster, but 2
Right.
pairs of titans that could tank the 4 hunters, and then they could
Hmm.
like mess with each other in that way. It's like, and you could
I
actually
get you.
have stats that matter is all I'm going for. Like, I know
So.
all the stats are a
Mhm.
little weird. Like mobility, I can make sense around like, yeah, you should move faster, probably all
Right.
the time, not just ADS, but
Mhm.
resilience you should take more, and some of the other abilities are there. But like,
Mhm.
even when it comes to just the stat rolls that we have now, for one,
Mhm.
I'd like to see them start getting a little bit higher as we go into future seasons, giving us
Right.
reason to, like, instead of it capping at like 65, 66, like what we have in the season pass,
Mhm.
start creeping a little higher.
Okay. So you want your pushback is you want more distinctive changes on like the resilience thing, or just a class, or just overall you feel
Just like, I'm
that
just like, they
you
could
are you
go,
feeling
they
not
could have,
powerful enough? That's my
I'm,
question, I guess, where I'm
I
going.
don't
Are you feeling
feel,
like
I don't
these
feel
builds are
like,
not doing anything?
I don't
Feels like
feel
the
like the
stats don't
builds.
matter that
Yeah,
much, right?
Okay.
that's the big one.
At
Yeah, the
least a lot
stats
of
don't
the
really
times.
matter. Yeah.
Hmm.
Like,
I
I
mean,
could have like 10
recovery
stat
matters a lot more than mobility and
most.
resilience. And like
Yeah.
that's why they
Yes.
just made it cost more for the mods. So like, it's just
Right.
better. Like,
Right.
Yeah, that's their
Okay.
way to counter it, as opposed
Well, the best
to,
idea I heard was resilience
Mhm.
like gives you reduced flinch or something. Like that was a good idea.
Okay.
yeah, I
But
could,
fundamentally, yeah, it's just those stats, and then everything else is just like cooldown timing
yeah.
essentially. And like
Yeah. Yeah.
that's fine, but that's always been in the game. Like just because it's on the screen now, like that we had grenade mods and melee mods before, so that's not exactly new.
Hmm.
So I think that's why stuff like Charge with Light mods that at least do interesting things that aren't necessarily stat focused are a good idea, but
Right.
they've got to figure out a better way to implement them and get people using them. Like I have a buddy who
Mhm.
raids like 9 times a week, and like he plays tons of PvP and like
Yeah.
Legend and there's all this
Mhm.
stuff. I had to explain to him what Charge with Light meant like yesterday. Like he hasn't even
Didn't even. Yeah.
dabbled in it because it's
Yeah.
just not on his radar, and like Bungie just doesn't really.
Mhm.
It's so hard to even like get a Charge with Light build set up for most players
Yeah.
that people just don't even bother. So
Right. Do you think, Paul? Is it also a situation? Do you think where Bungie's not doing a good job of, like, say for example, when the obelisks were debuted, right? I watched your video, and we saw that each obelisk had the specific, builds and specific mods and stuff like that. Do you think it's a situation that they're just not ingratiating that to the player to help them understand or just encourage them to utilize these things? Or do you think there's anything they can do to do that? Or you just think, nah, these joints is just kind of semi-trash? And like where y'all at with the, Bungie's introducing it and trying to get players to utilize it?
I mean, Destiny's onboarding process has been pretty terrible for a while.
Right.
Well, the new light stuff is very bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you jump in, you're like, hey, here's Gambit. Well, do I know all the mechanics of Gambit when I click on a button on the
They
director?
need a Gambit tutorial for
Facts.
I
Good point.
literally
Good point.
recorded one at one point. I just never put it out. But
Mhm.
I was trying to
Good
go
point.
through and just like, you could go through what's the gray bar mean? Like a tutorial match. I'm not saying that'd be the
Yeah.
easiest thing for them to build, but like
Right.
take somebody through you could do a private match of Gambit all by yourself.
Mhm.
And you could actually see the mechanics and just like, hey, you want to do this? Hey, here's a tutorial private match. We're going to go through and explain it and pause the game for and be like, hey, this gray bar means the other team has this going or whatever all that stuff means. Those type of things the same way. It's like, hey, when you unlock your first obelisk mod, maybe there's a little pop-up or the next time you come out, there's one of those things that doesn't like, when you look at the screen wrong, disappear. You guys know what I'm talking about? Those
Yeah, I know
little
exactly
pop-ups that are like,
Yeah.
you're like, I moved the cursor. No, it's gone. What'd it say? Like, I hate it when those
Yeah.
go away.
Yeah.
But actually
That's a
have
good point.
one, this pops up or an obelisk thing, like a tooltip, something over that saying, hey, this is the system. You're going to get a charge with light. Here's this little buff down here. When you use it, it's, I mean, when you think about it, yeah, it's pretty logical, but
Right.
there's
No,
a
you're
whole
right.
lot of people that don't know. I don't know whose
Right.
tweet I said, but it's like somebody was like, why are so many things in this game so hidden? Like,
Yeah.
so not obvious. Somebody said it yesterday and was like, I know, it's totally true.
It's a good point. And again, I want to push back also with you with Paul as far as like, so we really think it's like more of an onboarding issue. This is still getting people familiarized with what they're supposed to be doing and how new mechanics work. You agree? Like, Paul, where are you at with that?
It's both. I think something like a tooltip for Charge with Light would have been a good idea. I didn't mind personally how it was presented in the obelisk. Like the game makes it pretty clear that the obelisks are the main point of the season, and they give you a screen for each of them and like all these different things that you get when you rank up. So that's
Right.
that presentation is okay with me. I think part of it is the onboarding where they don't really explain Charge with Light after that. It's just you kind of have to read each individual mod and then be like, okay,
Right.
like then think about it. I think the other half of the problem was the current issues with armor in terms of people just not really having the slots to play around with those mods and then so not bothering. And also not really having the challenging content that requires any of those mods to form some sort of build that you couldn't beat, or that's very beneficial in a certain activity.
Right.
And so and then the affinity thing. So like if you have one set of armor you're using, you're not using 2/3 of the mods they invented. I can't even name any of the solar mods. Like I don't as much as I played this season, I just haven't looked at them at all because I've been playing with these void sets. So I think it's a combination of those things in terms of like why people aren't using them in addition to maybe some level of an onboarding thing. But I think it's also a lot more than that too.
Yeah. The last point I'll make is just that I completely agree with both of you. And I think for me, another thing that would help is, we kind of alluded to is like when we talk about that pinnacle level content, for example, like legendary Sundial, right? I think maybe one cool thing is like when they introduced anti-barrier champions, all that stuff, right? At that point, we realized, okay, if we don't have these mods on our weapons, we are not defeating these enemies, right? So maybe something similar with the charge, like all the mod stuff, or maybe add that to a harder level content and say, okay, this is a prerequisite, to beat said boss. Guys need to be charged with light to break down a shield or whatever it may be. So this way, it's kind of encouraging people. Okay, I need to kind of use this stuff, or otherwise, I'm not going to be able to beat the content. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I do feel like they still have to do a better job of getting people to kind of utilize this kind of stuff because it's just unexplained for the most part.
Unlike champion stuff, it's all fully optional. Like there's nothing in the game that requires you to be charged with light. Like some of the mods are helpful and fun, but you're never going to be forced into using them for any context in the current state of the game. Like you can say, I think that's been good for champions. Like I think it's good to have this kind of new challenge, and then okay, here's the new challenge. Here's the new system we came up with to overcome that challenge, and like that was a pretty clear connection.
Right.
Whereas Charge of Light, it's just it exists. You
It
can use it
exists.
if you
Yeah.
want,
Like,
but
why? Yeah.
I mean, this is the first season of it, so and they've said it's sticking around. So I think they'll be able to evolve it and grow it over time, and more people will get used to it. So I'm hopeful that it could still end up being useful. But as for why it didn't really work this season, I think we've covered it.
Yeah, no doubt. Back to you, Ian.
Yeah, no, I mean, just to wrap all of that stuff up, I'm with you guys for sure. When it comes to all of those things of like, I'd like to see a little more onboarding, a little more reason to use them. I don't know if I want to specifically be charged to light to face a boss. I was like, in
It would have
theory,
been cool though for Legend.
I was like-
It'd been cool.
I
Just
was like, Legend
yo,
is already useless enough.
true. But all right, shout out to Legend though. Shout out to Legend. Hold on, we never talked about because we missed last week. Come on, Inotam. That was a good fight, y'all. That was
No,
different.
I never said
It
Inotam's
wasn't.
not
It wasn't
Legend.
the
Inotam
That was a
Undying
good fight. That
Mind.
doesn't like have to do with legend difficulty
No.
per
Oh
se.
yeah, true. I'm just talking about being him and get a chance to talk about because we always complain like everything was samey as far as the boss and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm just talking about
No,
the
I enjoy
mechanics.
It's such
itself.
a good boss fight that I'm
Yeah.
sad if it just goes away in a month. Which is the whole
Yeah.
disappearing
Yeah.
content thing again.
I
That should
agree.
be a strike boss, but
I agree, and
That
then
would be awesome.
yeah, I completely agree. Now, to your guys' point, even though it was cool, there needed to be some drops associated. There needed to be something else to really just put that ribbon on the top to make us continue. Because literally, I just did it, and I'm doing it towards my savior title, and I really there's no incentive for me to go back in there.
No, you do
Or it would have
once.
been dope.
one pinnacle drop. So
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. Like one pinnacle drop, and then
pinnacle drops don't matter this season.
they don't even matter because you're like, all right, it's gonna reset.
They're all, the sad thing is they're all weapons. You have no way to get armor from that.
Yeah.
So like if you have 3 962, like if you say you're 960 and you haven't been doing that much, but you have 3 962 weapons from like Iron Banner and this, you're like,
That's all I have. I only have 962 weapon. Like I haven't
Yeah,
done any
I'm the
pinnacle
same.
grinding for
Yep,
anything else.
I'm the exact same boat. So then I
Me
go in there,
too.
I'm like, there's no reason to do a 962 because I need one more piece to even make it matter.
Mhm.
So it's like I can't even do that one. But
But
no,
my,
like
my larger
Enotam
point,
I
there's
enjoyed.
no point for pinnacle drops at all this season because there's no
Yeah.
content that's hard enough to require you to be like
Nope.
level 990 or whatever.
Yeah.
I've seen
good
people
point.
like 1,000. I'm like, you are better than I am.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
Better man than me. Yeah.
I mean,
And
I'm at
again-
like plus 20 from the artifact just from all these bounties alone. Like
Yep.
turning, like the weapon bounties give you a ton of XP. So like
Mhm.
I've gone up like 4 power levels just from Fractaline bounties at this point. Crazy.
Okay.
You can, yeah. I mean,
Oh,
especially
yeah,
if you're doing,
for sure.
especially if you're doing perfect paradox, because it's like
That was
6 or
me.
7. If it's 6
Oh,
or
yeah.
7
6
as opposed
of
to
them, yeah.
4 per, whatever. So it's pretty funny.
Mhm. That's literally what I was doing. I just flew through, my pass on that level. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been kind of insane, but
Yeah.
yeah, like Enotam was a really cool fight, but again, it says I think a big thing is the rewards of these, like giving us a legend difficulty, but there's no real reason to go do it. Nothing unique. There's not
Mhm.
even a specific set of couple guns in there. There's nothing really.
There's
like,
no
as you guys-
unique
This
loophole.
heroic menagerie had the swords, which was something. Had the Izanagi catalyst, which
As
I
an,
guess was a
the
guaranteed drop,
catalyst. They got to do a better job with pinnacle content. I mean, again, we understand that the light chase kind of doesn't matter as much, but if you give people incentive with great weapons or cool armor or unique drops that can only happen in activity, then we'll farm it. But for right now, it's like they still missing the boat when it comes to these level activities, and I really hope they change because we all agree the content we felt the heroic fight was a good encounter. We thought the mechanics were cool. It was different. It was unique. I was pleasantly surprised not to see the same level mechanic that we saw with the other two, Scion flares or whatever.
it
So
was not Vex Offensive like 2.0.
Yeah.
Thank God. So.
yeah, it wasn't like it's me again, just a different skin and
Yeah,
not
they
doing
learned
the
that
same
lesson
stuff.
pretty quick.
Exactly.
Yeah, be like, okay, somebody build a boss thing. We got like a month for it to get there, so
Mhm,
we're gonna find some space and do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no. I think I'm just with you guys though. It's just like where I want to see the rewards fixed for
Yeah.
when it comes to the end game type stuff. If you're gonna make
Mhm.
something difficult, make it worthwhile.
Mhm.
Or don't do it. Kind of one of those
Yeah.
type situations because it
Mhm.
doesn't seem to be worth it. So we will see.
Yeah, man.
But yeah.
Cool.
So I mean, that's a giant discussion that fell off of seasonal and armor mods. But do you guys want to touch anything there for affinities or seasonal mods or anything else on that? Are you guys pretty good there?
Pretty good. I got what I got
I'm
off
good.
on
Between that and my
Mhm.
article.
Yeah.
yeah.
all
Yeah, if you
the
haven't read it,
discussion
go
I
read it
need.
again. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Get that.
Uh,
Get Tassie's article, man.
We got Iron Banner coming again just after Crimson Days. But speaking of that, have you guys played Crimson Days?
All
I
right,
did,
let me jump
and
in.
then I got
Okay,
rolled
okay.
back, and then I was like, eh. I was doing really well for like the first hour, and I got some hearts, and I'm like, all right. And then they rolled it back, and I'm like, I don't care. I already have the bow. I don't care about anything else.
Same, bro. I was in the same boat. Like, what the first thing I did, I was like, all right, let me see what these rewards is talking about. And I'm like, I got that bow already. So I'm just like,
The exact one.
the exact same bow. I'm like, all right, I did not care about the Wardcliff coil ornament. The sparrows were not, there was just no incentive for me to do it. And what's funny is I like PvP. I actually don't mind Crimson Days as a mechanic, as a two-player activity.
I think it's a great mode, actually.
Yeah, I actually like it. The staying apart and all that. I remember playing it for the last couple of times it came around and having fun doing the mode. But I looked at it, I'm like, I am not doing this for these things. It's not happening. So Shax, I didn't even go get your bounties. I left you and your confectionery hearts all alone. I'm a very bitter single person in Destiny right now, man. I'm not feeling the love, man. I'm not into Valentine's season to do any of that. Where you at, man? Am I being too hard on this? Am I being too bitter?
I mean, I'm the same boat. If you've been around before and you got the vow, unless there's one of those cosmetics that speaks to you and you've got a buddy build, you could go run a Nightfall and a couple Crucible matches and be pretty much good to go. Because the Nightfall, I will say I'm glad they implement a little PvE stuff to it.
Yeah, that was cool. So
that's nice to see. Some of the bounties and other things are not specifically Crucible related, so that was a nice, refreshing.
People think they are, though. People think you have to get like 20 melee kills in Crucible, so they're like running around doing that when you don't.
I'm like, yeah, just go into a lost sector, dude.
Yeah.
Punch away. Yeah, so that was a nice little addition because it's been very PvP focused before. I will say for the matches that I did play, which were not many, I played like 4 or 5. About 3 were pre-downtime, and then I played a couple more when it came back up. I was like, yeah, I'm kind of done. Because the 2 I played when it got back up, I think it's Javelin 4, I want to say. And it's like around point B. One pair was inside, we were outside, and it was on a rounds where it wasn't going to end. And we were just like trading grenades back and forth in the hallway. Because if you sit next to each other, they spawn so fast. And it was like, I'm trying to bounce mine around the corner, they're throwing their scatters, and we're just sitting there at a stalemate, and we're like, nobody's going to move. So we threw grenades for probably like 30 seconds constantly in that doorway.
That's funny.
And then finally it's just like, screw it, I'm going to go die. So
that's funny. Yeah.
That's what it turned a lot into but I mean, the 2s is cool because like if you split, you see each other, you got to stay together. I don't mind the variety. I never do. It's nice to have a little difference. And the fact that this is only up every so often is like kind of cool. Would be nice to see a little more in the rotation.
Right. I'm wondering why couldn't they just give us random rolls on the vow? Like it seems so weird to have only a curated prize. Like I guess maybe that would have required testing they didn't want to do, but like rapid hit rampage, rapid hit explosive hit, like that would have been I would have farmed for that. But
I was like, what about the Iron Banner bow that we still haven't seen? Are bows really that crazy that they're afraid to break something?
Apparently.
Is there something we don't know?
But let's get to the elephant in the room. Like, let's be real. Between Iron Banner and now the whole Crimson Days thing, how are we in this weird place where there's just no, again, like a unique weapons, or like we haven't got anything to really grind these activities for when they come around, and I'm just curious on that whole thought process, or is it just a bandwidth thing? We just don't have time to do it, or like it's just very weird to me that Crimson Days comes, it's the same exact reward for the most part, outside of the 2 people. The Batman and Robin's buggy, I call it, with one of you in the sidecar thing. But, other than that, it's just like, I just don't understand. Like, what do you think is going on, Tassi? Like, where are you at with this?
To be fair, Crimson Days has always been fully useless. Like, it's true. It's always the most useless event every year. Iron Banner just didn't need to exist this season. Like, it existed for the sake of existing, but with no new weapons, and then just another armor set that you had to re-earn for the 3rd time, I think. Like there's no reason to do it other than maybe pinnacle drops, but as we've covered, there's no point in pinnacle drops this season. So I played, I think I got 1 armor set on 1 character, the first Iron Banner, and that was it. I was done. And there's no reason to do anything else. I think this would have been a pretty good season to implement maybe the beginning of an Iron Banner title, so at least people like had something to grind for that.
There you go.
My man,
but obviously, we're heading into trials, and so whatever's all the boring PvP stuff that's happening now, and there's no weapons to farm for. My guess is they're using the bandwidth to make trials weapons and trials armor and things like that. So that's probably why they're not doing really anything with PvP now is because it's all being sunk into that for next season, and like that's a whole other can of worms we can get into. But that's my theory.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And in that, you know, now that you put it that way, I'll calm down because obviously E's had this discussion with me, and he knows how emotionally I get about trials and how I want it to be perfect. And we had a good episode being him.
Perfect.
I know it's not going to be perfect. It's not, of course it's not. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, one of the things that, you know, he said, he was like, okay, if it comes back, you know, how does it need to come back? And I was telling him about the aesthetic. I was telling him about the rewards. I was talking about all those things. So I will say this, E, you know, to Tassi's point, that if Crimson Days and all these things that we're suffering now result in that bandwidth being put towards trials again, because my whole thing with trials is there's never going to be a good time with the meta. The meta is always going to be weird, you know, funky. It's always going to be things that change, whatever. But if you have those great rewards, if you have those that great armor, that great incentive to keep playing this content over and over again, that's going to be the key. Because I think the mode is fun itself. You know what I'm saying? You know, 3v3 elimination. You know, it sells itself from an activity standpoint, but you got to give people the incentive to keep doing said activity over and over and over with these great rewards. So that's what I'm really praying, hoping that everything is really going hard in that. And they've had so much time, let's be honest, right? Trials has been away so long. Like, there's really no excuse for a subpar incentive reward system kind of thing. Like, that's just where I'm at with it. You nervous? You nervous? Let's go, Tassi. Come on. They got to do it right, man. I'm going to be
nervous until you're happy, man, because that's where I'm with you. Is like, I think it's until we see it, until like all the community is like, oh, please be trial, but please be. If it doesn't like hit the nail directly on the head, I'm worried, man.
People have to be lenient, and like I'm one of the biggest thing I'm concerned about is that Bungie is going to deliver on all, like, it's sick trials armor, sick trials weapons, and like they do know that, and then you're going to have 90% of the player base being like, well, I can't, you know, I'm losing after 2 games. Like, I can't get any of this stuff. And then we have that whole debate again. And then you're going to see people be like, well, this is the PvP season. There's nothing for me, the PvE player. I can't get any of the new cool stuff. And like, I just know that debate is coming. And like, as someone who isn't like amazing at PvP, like I'll play trials, but I'm probably not going to, unless I'm carried, I'm not going to get like all the primo rewards and stuff. So like, it's kind of hurts a little bit, but like, I understand why this stuff needs to exist, because we've gone so long without any pinnacle PvP rewards that they need something. And but I know the community, and I know what the pushback is going to be before it even happens. So like, either Bungie underdelivers and like the hardcore community that wanted trials in the first place is not satisfied, or they deliver accurately and then everyone else gets met. So they're kind of in a lose-lose situation. But obviously the right call is to make the trial stuff as sick as possible. Try and make the meta as balanced as you can, and then you have to eliminate cheating as much as you can, or else that's going to just destroy the whole mode instantly. So I'm curious if they're going to do some sort of paywall or some sort of light or level cap or something to weed more people out. But I'm just nervous that something or multiple things is going to go wrong, and we're going to have all these debates. And I mean, I guess it's
positive thoughts. Positive thoughts.
It's not even about like me worrying about Bungie delivering necessarily. It's a combination of what Bungie's going to deliver with how the community is going to react to it, and like, you can't control both of those things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You make valid points. Again, everything that E put me on a hot seat, and he definitely.
I went through. It was like, I mean, the stuff that you had said before was like, one, it needs to be behind the season pass, because that $10 is going to stop cheating, stop the free people, especially on Steam, on PC. That was one. The aesthetic, you would be like happy with Egyptian, but I'll be curious what they do as the aesthetic. But your biggest one was the rewards, and I think that's where, whether it be the armor, the weapons, like your doctrine of passings, you know, those things need to be coming back, and those needs need to be sought after. Whether it is a struggle to get them for 80% of the population who's like, I play this for PvE. Why is all this stuff in PvP? Go play that other part of the game, because guess what? That's what we had a season of Gambit.
Thank you.
We can have a season of Crucible. That's what I'm saying.
But in Tassi's defense, this is where Tassi's going to be right, in the sense that as much as I love trials and I'm the PvP guy, there will be chirping if there's no PvE. If it can't be Season of the Drifters, basically what I'm saying. It can't be a situation where trials is back and then that's the end game. You know, that's the loop of the season. Like there has to be a new PvE activity to keep that base, engaged. You know what I'm saying? So they do have this tight line where they have to walk where it has to be enough for PvE guys to still be able to do something. I just don't want them to do a Season of Drifter thing where it's like, okay, which was a huge mistake, which is like, okay, we're going to give you this new activity with Gambit, but then we're going to force you into this other thing with Reckoning and create this stupid cyclical loop where you need to get the armor from Reckoning.
Gotta earn your Trials card every week by running.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 2.0. They better, Bungie, you better not do that foolishness. No, learn from Season of the Drifter. We cannot have that. But continue, guys. I agree. It has to be.
I think they will have some sort of PvE thing. I just think it'll be smaller. I don't know if it'll be as big as Sundial personally. Like I can't tell because like this was kind of a down season that it was smaller than Shadowkeep, Undying, Hybrid. So maybe it'll be bigger overall. But just so much work has to go into at least the Trials gear. If not, I'm assuming we're going to get a couple maps for it too.
Yes.
So that's going to be a big chunk of the season. So whatever PvE content we do get is probably going to be on the shorter side. I'd probably guess somewhere between like the Undying Vex Offensive and Sundial, like somewhere in between there. And like Sundial is not exactly the most elaborate activity, but it's it's got 3 modes, it's got bosses. But my guess would be some sort of low key PvE thing, and then Trials is the main focus every weekend. So
I gotta ask Tassi a silly, ridiculous question real quick. So we're on Tassi, just for the record, we're on Team Egyptian theme armored, correct?
Oh yeah,
my man,
100%.
I just want to make sure
they're not going to do 9 armor again. So
man, that's what I wanted.
I thought the 9 armor was cool. I like to see that aesthetic somewhere else, but
in the bushes.
It's very clear that they're going to do Egyptian theme.
Yeah. So it seems like it with all the banners hanging in the tower. So
yes, I mean, even saying, and that's what I had to ask him because we talked about this. What do you? I want you to give me the fates of these 3 NPCs, right? Osiris, Saint 14, and Brother Vance. As far as their role with Trials and this season, break it down. Let's go.
Brother Vance isn't going to do anything. He's going to stay in his little tower. He's going to do nothing. They've neutered that character so much he's never going to do anything again.
So he's just going to be a planetary vendor? That's it? He won't even know Osiris is back?
Saint is going to be the Trials announcer. I've been saying that all along. I think he'll be a vendor. I think he'll be the Trials vendor, and he'll probably be in whatever we're building on Mercury. So we'll probably have to go see him maybe on Mercury is my guess. Or maybe he stays in the tower, just runs it from afar. If he's not the Trials vendor, then I guess Osiris could be the Trials vendor because there was some line about Osiris saying it's like time to return to the tower or something at the end of the mission. So maybe even if Saint is the announcer and kind of running it, that Osiris could be the vendor for his own event in theory. All I want before the season ends is a freaking cutscene with Saint and Osiris doing
yes, the brother hug, right?
They need a bro man, facts.
Yeah, so that's my guess. I think they'll all be involved to some extent, but I am 100% sure Saint's going to be the Trials announcer. Like I have no question about that. I don't think they're going to revisit Brother Vance at this point personally, but
wow, shout out to WD Prescott. Shout out to Prescott. He said Brother Vance has been friend zoned hard in this game.
Oh yeah,
yo, that's savage. Yo, the chat is savage. Listen, I'm with you. I think everything you said is pretty much on. My feeling is, they're setting us up for Saint to be it. I mean, the announcer. We when you do the Saint mission to free him, he's talking to you in almost like Crucible speak, right? Yep. Guardian, da-da-da-da. Then when you do the Devil's Ruin quest, the banter between him and Shax, you know what I'm saying? Like the way he would run, you're just giving away, these weapons, huh? Like amazing banter. That's actually the stuff that I loved about this season. With the narrative moments, it's probably the best it's been in my opinion. I know it's just audio, but I love that little stuff. I know Bife is going crazy, with lore in his mind
so much to process. Yeah.
Oh, so much to process. You know what I mean? So I think that's the case. I think sadly you may be right. Vance just maybe stuck there and won't have any role, which would be a shame.
Just another Sloan or Ashermere. Yeah. They're just chilling. They're doing their NPC thing. They don't move. They don't get updates. They're just useless. So.
Yeah, give him some strike dialogue or something someday. I don't know.
But. Yeah, something, man. And then Osiris,
Oh, I was just
No, I
gonna
was
say
gonna
when
say
you
probably
actually
good. No,
said
finish it.
no, I was gonna say I never said it, and I kept thinking about it. It's like I actually think like some of these activities, when you guys said like I wouldn't mind seeing it as a strike, like the sundial when we get done
Mm-hmm.
at the end, that could easily you could run that thing as a sundial, literally leave the mechanics the same and just go stick it in the strike playlist. And if that thing popped up,
I
Mm.
wonder if they might be considering that,
I was
honestly,
like,
because like
because
it
they do that with
is
Vex
so
Offensive
much
as well.
content to just
Get rid
ditch.
of.
Like,
Yeah.
like okay, like Vex Offensive, less so. That was very, very simplistic mechanics, very simplistic
Yeah.
boss. But this really seems like it could just be a strike, essentially, just reorganize it a little bit. It
Yeah.
just it would be such a waste to just
You
get
could
rid of it
you could even
completely
have a
forever.
random
And like
boss
even if
every
the gear
time.
comes back, which they keep saying is
Yeah.
gonna happen, I don't know when that'll
Mhm.
happen, to just like
Mhm.
spend so much work on a piece
Mhm.
of content that's gone after 3 months or a boss fight that's gone after 1 month, like that can't feel good for the designers themselves,
Right.
much less the player base. So I've never really understood that.
No,
Right.
that one always seems weird. But yeah, it's like as you're
Mm-hmm.
saying, it would be so nice just to see that thing hang around, and you could even
Mm-hmm.
have a different boss every time.
Yeah.
That'd be like a
Mhm.
cool strike just because you get random and maybe it's gonna be Tom.
Yeah.
That'd be like your
Yeah.
freak accident every so often. Be like,
And
oh,
then
I
you
got the
drop
cool fight.
the flare cloaks as strike specific loot.
Oh,
And then
missed
Done.
opportunity. Yes.
Oh, strike specific
Yes.
loot. I miss that stuff.
Oh, I missed strike
yeah.
specific loot. Rest in peace.
But I really hope they take what they've done with the obelisks and learn
Mm.
for any of the planetary vendors, for Shaxx, for Zavala, to have them as a system to level up, have perks that you can get throughout the season. Like use
Mm.
them in that way and give them as an incentive to, hey, if you go
Mm-hmm.
run your strike playlist, you're starting to level up and get this, level him up. And now when you go
Mm-hmm.
perks, there's other perks that you get too. Like they could
Yeah,
use that system very easily for many
I
of these
agree.
other vendors for either seasonal or longer term.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, faction rallies, I don't know if those are ever coming back.
Yeah.
Would be
I have a
nice.
theory they might
Mm-hmm.
do a season of faction stuff like down the road if we keep just going with endless seasons.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause that seems to me like that could be a good
Yeah.
like you have a season long community event where everyone picks a
Right.
faction, then everyone competes against this thing and that thing and this
Mm-hmm.
activity.
Yeah.
I think that could be a good concept for just a season in general. I don't think they're
Yes.
going to be like a permanent
I
recurring
agree.
thing like they used to be, but I think that would
Yep.
be a good seasonal content.
I agree. I could also envision it almost like an Imperium Foundation mark on a season. So it's as like, a faction rally at this event that lasts, a couple of weeks or whatever. Or it could go grandiose, like you said, and make it a whole seasonal activity kind of thing. And, say there's turmoil in the tower or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Whatever they come up with.
Well, yeah, now
And
that you say that, like it's
Mhm.
pretty clear that you could do something a lot like Imperium Foundation where it's you have, the different things, the progress bars, but like unlike Imperium Foundation where we all know we're going to hit the end, if
Right.
you literally made it a competition and like in the tower you can see like, oh, X person has donated X
Yes.
tokens and
Yes.
the different and there's different rewards based on that, like you would
Mhm.
actually feel like you were doing something. Like they did that a
I
little bit in the past with like whoever won got the primo weapon for
Right.
free or whatever. But
Yeah.
I feel like they could expand on that concept for like a community
Mhm.
challenge among the seasons.
I agree. I think this is the new, again, when it comes to this new content format, they got to get creative. And I think, obviously, again, there's no high moon, there's no vicarious vision. You know what I'm saying? We have to be cognizant of that. So I think this is like I told you, I think this is the new hustle, so to speak, as far as these community events. As long as they do them right and they're fun, I think they can get away with that between spacing certain content, and allow them to do the other stuff. So yeah, again, potential is there. I think this is more. I think we're kind of in an experimental phase with them as far as like the whole thing when we went through the hours of time, that kind of stuff. All this stuff I feel is them playing around with different ideas and community building kind of things as opposed to this hard and fast, raid content stuff that they got to really put all these resources and stuff in that they just don't have at the time.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be a nice way too for balancing out. It's not something you need desperately hardcore, but
Mhm.
also, I mean, do you remember the faction class items that were exotic?
Oh yes,
Stuff like that was a way you could put that at the end of. I mean, give Zavala something like that for him,
Mhm.
his little weenie butt to have something to do. But if I'm gonna go run a strike playlist, if I'm actually doing that as a reason to maybe not get much out of those because the rewards aren't that great in the strike playlist itself, but I'm
Mhm.
leveling him up and maybe there's an in game, maybe for a
Mhm.
full year, there's an
Mhm.
exotic class item or something like that you can earn from him that's like universal.
But
Some way you could do that.
yeah.
giving some of those guys life, just as you said, like the seasons. I would love to see a season of the factions. That would be awesome.
Oh,
season
yeah,
of season of
absolutely.
turmoil or something like that.
Yeah.
Like Turmoil in the Tower. That sounds like a really
Absolutely.
bad book title. You should write that.
Season of Turmoil.
Season of Turmoil. Yeah, man.
Turmoil in the Tower, Chapter 1.
The options are there, man. The options are there. We'll see what happens. Mhm.
Yeah. So there's not too much else after we get done with
Mhm.
Iron Banner. We
Mhm.
are really pretty much wrapping the season up, huh? There's
Yeah.
nothing on the
Story
calendar.
quests whenever we finish it.
Whatever worthy is going to be.
Lighting the beacon.
And it'll be everybody's got everything done for their title. You guys got everything lined up. You're just waiting on the Empyrean Foundation
Oh,
to
yeah.
finish.
Yep, just that.
Mhm.
Yeah, just the foundation, and then I got to go run some basic strikes. I think I'm done after that. So.
Yeah, me too. You got to do the points thing with the solar.
Yeah.
What you got to do? Yeah, me too. I'm at the same point. I got everything.
Can
I
they
got
please
Komodo.
change that next season?
Yeah,
They made it a little better. They cut off the last step for it, so
Oh.
they made it a little
Yeah.
shorter.
But it was
Yeah.
just, I was like, I don't want like, hey, here's they cut it off, but I was like, can
Mhm.
we get a little creative sometimes on these quests? They're just like, I know they're check boxes to hit to keep you in a playlist, but
Mhm.
something different.
I don't think they need those like individual mini quests. Like if they have
Mhm.
ritual weapons, that essentially is that. So I don't know why they
Yeah.
have both. It just
I
it
agree.
seems pointless. I would make the
Yeah.
ritual quests a little more involved than they've been. You
Right.
could do the Vanguard sidearm one in like
That
6
one
strikes.
was
or
Oh,
something.
it's so
Yeah.
easy.
So,
Yeah.
That was
so like
really
make that a
easy.
little harder, and then
Right.
just combine them, and then you don't need 2 different sets of quests.
Yeah. I was like, I
Mhm.
played enough Gambit going for my shotgun. I'm kind of good. Especially
But
as
I
I
played
run.
it. I played it for Python at the very beginning.
Yep.
I have not played Gambit in probably 2.5 months. Like I did that like week 1. And I never.
Yeah.
There's no reason to play Gambit.
No.
There's
after
no
that.
reason. Yeah.
There's
I
not
actually,
even-
so in one of my
Mhm.
boredom phases, I farmed a full Reaper set for each of my classes, just in case I have to do Gambit again in the future.
man.
Like I haven't used it yet, but I have it now. So
You got it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You're good
Oh
to go
man,
in
yeah,
the
Larry.
green. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Same
Uh,
deal, man. Same deal.
Well, I was like, for somehow I feel like we have a lot to talk about and it goes fast.
Mhm.
But
Mm-hmm.
as we are looking down, like E3 is changing,
Yeah.
console reveals are coming, and we
Mhm.
also have like quite a few games being announced. One of which happened
Woo!
yesterday, which I didn't know about until the day before.
Mhm.
There's a lot of competition for this game that is still trying to like scratch at Destiny, just chilling out at the top of the hill,
Mhm. Destiny killers on deck.
hmm
lining up to take their shot, every single one of them. I was just
Mhm.
kind of curious because Anthem is working on doing, they've said now, who knows how
Mhm.
long it's going to take, a completely full like rebuild. I mean,
Mhm.
the flying mechanics were there, but they had the bones of a game. They didn't have a game.
Right.
Division 2 had a start, people enjoyed, and
Mhm.
kind of fell off pretty hard, and now we're going back to New
Mhm.
York. We've
Gotta
got
get into that
Outriders,
too.
which is going to be next gen crossover, or
Mhm.
if you want to call it, that's probably a better term, as you said, Paul. But got a
Mhm.
crossover generation, so this is leading into the next one, and that's from Square Enix. It's a
Mhm.
Gears Division Anthem mix, whatever. So I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts of, from other stuff that you've seen of these other games versus obviously what Destiny is doing. Do you see anything that's like, hey, I wish that was doing this, or what are the
Mhm.
things have you guys seen that you would like to see these other games do? Because those are all ones we've all tried, spent a decent amount of time on. They just
Mhm.
haven't held our attention like Destiny. So I was curious what you'd like to see each of those do.
Let's get with Tassi, man. I mean, obviously the competition is rising, like he was saying, and you got Outriders, which we talked about briefly, pre show, and then obviously Anthem and individual. So let's start with Outriders first. Like where are you at with what you've seen so far, and the basic mechanics of the game and stuff like that.
Yeah, my initial impressions of Outriders were not the best. Like I didn't go to the hands-on event, so I'm just basing it off all the videos and stuff and all the stuff I've read about it.
Mhm.
And it looked like the division with superpowers, which in theory could be interesting, but it all looked a little bit generic. And then it wasn't really until I saw gameplay later where I realized you don't really have to be in cover that much
Mhm.
from what I was seeing, where you can be more out in the open and kind of running around and using your powers and like not just kind of poke and cover shooting like the
Mhm.
division or Gears. Then it
Mhm.
sounded a little more interesting to me. And a lot of the
Mhm.
powers I saw, like the guy who stops time, was really cool. That
Fire.
was looked really good in practice. And then
Mhm.
people I know were saying that the gunplay feels really good.
Mhm.
So all of that kind of combines to be like, okay, like I'm
Mhm.
I'll check this out. I'm interested in this, even though it
Mhm.
didn't have any bearing like a week ago.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna have trouble kind of standing out, and its
Mhm.
aesthetic is just very Destiny. Like even if gunplay
Mhm.
is more Division or Anthem, it
Mhm.
like I used the lead image today where it's like it's literally like Warlock type.
Warlock. I did peep that.
I mean, it just
you made a
works.
good comment on that. Yeah.
And I guess there's a fourth hidden class or whatever, but
Yeah.
it's very samey. And then from what I've heard about the storyline, like it's a pretty hard R kind of rating where, you know, dropping F-bombs and like this guy completed a quest and he drops off this dude's head to like an NPC.
Yes!
So
I watched that, yes.
Maybe that's something we don't really see in this genre is people going that hard. So maybe that could be interesting, but the story does sound kind of generic and like it's 85% of the Anthem story based on what's being described to me. But it does look interesting enough between the loot and the skill trees and the different abilities where I'm like, okay, if this combines the best parts of like Anthem and Diablo and the Division, that's all stuff I like. So that sounds like something I could be interested in, but no, I'm not gonna like preach that it's a Destiny killer.
Destiny killer! Say it!
That's absurd.
Let's go, E. You're up next, man. With Outriders, we're gonna do Outriders first. So let's get Outriders for what you seen, what you felt.
Just watching yesterday, it was. I mean, you said it kind of similar. It's like I feel like I've ridden this horse before. I feel like I've been down this path because I mean. I played, now I'm not as invested in the Gears franchise, but when I got into the whole cover thing, it reminded me, I was like, the whole cover pop up and pop out is kind of like, and when you said you don't have to as much, that was actually intriguing because I was like, if it's a cover shooter, I do get a little tired of those to a point because you're just like, run to this cover. Oh no, they're near me. Let me run over here to this cover. Oh no, and you're like always trying to do that. So I know that's pretty cheesy description, but there's more to it. The abilities seem pretty cool, like the timepiece, and then you've got the Pyromancer, I think was the Trickster, the Pyromancer, and the Devastator, I think were the three. Trying to remember for 1 days of information, so forgive me if I'm wrong. The skill trees seemed a little more in depth, which I do kind of like the idea there of, again, something where Destiny skill trees are pretty lean. You get 1, 2, and 3, and you get this set and you're good to go. So like, again, I do like the idea of the fact that it's a little more single player, so there's no PvE that they've got a balance to it. But it is also sounding a little more Borderlands of if you like finish your run of the game, there might be multiple tiers to go through. Borderlands didn't hook me that long because I guess like I made it barely through like the first run. Personally, I was like, because I didn't get to like the mayhems and stuff like that because it was like there's always seeming something else for me to do. I was like, I don't want to go run the same stuff over, and I'm saying that as I play Destiny, so that's kind of stupid. But it's fair. But it is, again, it's like what kind of floats your boat. And like the menu system looked very, very, very Destiny hard because you got like 3 sets of armor, 2 weapons, a sidearm, you're like rarities of gear. So it's like it has potential of like all the things, but it's like, as you said, Paul, is like what is going to make it stand out as something that tells me, hey, I really want to play this now. Is it like the cussing and like the harder edge to it that's going to make me be like, this is kind of a fun game, little shot in the arm type thing? Or is it just like, it's another RPG shooter type and it just doesn't quite hold me? And I don't know, but that's, kind of where I am.
That's a good assessment. I'll jump in. You know, I was with Tassi initially. When I first saw the aesthetic, I was just like, hey, this look mad generic. Like I don't know. It's something about it didn't grab me at first. And whatever I saw just didn't motivate me. But again, I want to shout out my man Duggan from IGN. He had a great, I believe, 15-minute or whatever it was of gameplay. And watching him play the game got me excited because, again, the cover stuff, I agree with you, E. Like, after a while, you know, and I'm a Gears guy, but, you know, it does get a little boring, you know, the cover kind of thing. But when I saw him utilizing the time-stopping powers and just running almost around the map like a madman a little bit, it excited me. Because it's like I didn't want to feel restricted. The cover set in this game felt optional, which I don't mind. You know what I'm saying? Which is, I mean, you still use it, but it's more power and ability-based. And I was like, okay, I kind of like that. And I'm a big fan of, like, cool boss mechanics and boss encounters, and this looked like it had that. You know, there were a couple of bosses is really cool. He's fighting this guy with lightning from a distance, and he's moving around, shifting, and stuff like that. It looks like he had 3 abilities at one time. The only, the cool thing, yes, the narrative, it seems like it's very narrative and story-based, you know what I'm saying, kind of thing, you know, with the 4 players, that's cool. You know, I was disappointed that when, I think Duggan mentioned this, that there were times where NPCs would give you dialogue choices, and the developer openly says it doesn't matter. So I'm just like, well, why is it in the damn game? Like, you know what I'm saying? Because that part would have excited. Exactly.
Well,
like,
swear one of them asked, like, why is there cover? It's like, do you really need to be a cover? No, it's like, then why is that system in there? It's like
in the game. I feel you. It's just one of those things where it's just like, again, I come from that whole BioWare school where it's like, if you're gonna put something in the game, I want some cause and effect, some change that's going to, happen and affect the game world. So it was just literally, whatever. And then, I do like the visceral nature of it. I will say this, it went from something I had no interest in to say, okay, this looks decent. I might rock out with it, but I can't see it. Even if I enjoy, I don't know if I can see it taking me away from Destiny for any extended period of time. I need to see more that would blow me away. At this current stage, it's better than I expected, but again, that's just where I'm at right now with Outriders. But I'm willing to give it a chance, see what more information that comes out and so on and so forth. But I want to now pivot to the other two games, obviously that's been going on, and we gotta talk about our good old Iron Man simulator, man. Let's start with that first. It's been a hard road. Let's just say. Tassi's eyes right. Those
he's
classics.
Just trying not to die.
He's trying not to laugh. It's been a hard road, for our good friends at BioWare, and we all know the story. We don't have to get into it ad nauseum, But we did hear, recent news that they are not abandoning this franchise. That they're in a sense doing a reboot. So I want to bring it.
They're pulling a Leo on the Titanic. They're going to ride it all the way down.
Yeah, they're pulling a Leo on the Titanic. So I want to bring this to Tassi. Like,
it's kind of a terrifying metaphor.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Close to death, but sure.
I want to bring it to you, man. Like, with what you've heard, what you've seen. I mean, we haven't seen anything, but what you've heard. Do you think Anthem can have like that No Man's Sky, that Taken King rise from ashes? Can it happen, do you think, Tassi? Where you at, man?
My gut tells me no. And I know we've seen this happen before with different games where like, okay, the Taken King revitalized Destiny, Reaper of Souls revitalized Diablo, No Man's Sky, busted their ass and turned the whole game around. I think there's a lot of different things happening in this situation, however, where a game like Destiny, like they had so much invested into it and it was their only thing they were working on, where they like couldn't let it fail, essentially. And same with No Man's Sky, like Hello Games was working on that and that alone. BioWare is a big company, and yet it is working on two more important projects, which are the new Dragon Age and then a new Mass Effect, which is further away. And then I don't know if EA is going to make them do Star Wars stuff eventually too and go back to their roots there. And so that's like three potential things that should, in theory, have priority over an Anthem reboot. So I'm wondering just how much they are truly devoting to this. And given that Anthem debuted, like Anthem wasn't like Anthem isn't Mass Effect. Like people don't have a history with Anthem other than the last 11 months of the game.
Good point.
And it has some people that are like hardcore Anthem fans, but it's a very small number. So something they would have to do is something that brings in either people who didn't get it the first time or people that kind of laughed it out of existence when it launched and it was bad. And like it did get a lot better in time. And like by the end, they have fixed a lot of core issues with it, but I don't know like what they're going to bring to the table that's going to create this kind of situation where if they're reusing the same map and stuff like that, like are they building an entirely new campaign? Like are they just essentially rebuilding the game from scratch? Like it's hard for me to imagine that they would be doing that. So I'm just trying to think of like a potential situation in which this works. And while I'm not going to say it's possible, it just seems a lot more improbable than like your Final Fantasy or your No Man's Sky, like based on a bunch of different reasons.
You guys are going to love ILP this Sunday. I hate to plug my own show, but you guys are going to love ILP this Sunday. But I want to bring it back in a sense that I hear what you're saying. And you are completely right. There's nothing you're saying is inaccurate. I guess, from what we heard from the stories of the development cycle and everything that was going on behind the scenes and, the Frostbite engine and then the leadership thing and Casey leaves and then these guys leave. And then really none of the old school BioWare guys were really there. Basically, from my understanding, like the game was developing like 12 months and flying was added at the last minute and stuff like that. So what about the thought process that, because again, the word on the street is that there was no single unified direction for the game, right? They would go into meetings and they would discuss, what they want Anthem to be, and there would be no resolution because, from my understanding, there was no leadership right? Saying, okay, this is the vision for Anthem. This is what we're going to do. The thing kept changing and changing, going through this metamorphosis. So if, let's just say, they had Casey or whoever it is now in charge as the single, lead for Anthem, and the leadership up top changes. Do you think that they could possibly like nail down a specific gameplay loop and say, okay, this is what it is. This is what Anthem is. We don't have to go to Tarsus every 5 minutes. And, can we, is there any hope in that? Just the gameplay loop itself. Like, can that, you think, be possibly resolved, Tassi?
The answer is yes. Because by the end, the gameplay loop was actually getting pretty good. There just wasn't, with the Cataclysm and then some of the stuff they're doing, like, it was getting a lot better. But to your point, like, if you're like, okay, well, what if Casey's in charge of things now? Like, shouldn't they be announcing something like that? It would be a lot more reassuring if it was like, if he came out in that blog post and was like, I'm running the Anthem reboot now. I have no idea who's working on Anthem now. The only person I know for sure, even still on Anthem, is like one of the community managers. Like, I literally have no idea who at BioWare is working on this or leading it or anything. And like the guys I do know are working on Dragon Age or Mass Effect. So I don't understand like who is behind this reboot and how many resources are being devoted to it. And like it took like all of Bungie or all of Hello Games or like all of the Final Fantasy team to like go back and do these things from scratch. So if this is what, like 25-30% of BioWare at best working on this, like I'm just wondering what the end result is going to be. And like I hope it works. It's just
good point.
It's a very weird kind of it's a more unprecedented situation than people think. Yeah. Because those other games were so different in their respective contexts.
No, you're right. I'm gonna give it to E, man. I mean, you used to go
like,
hard.
I mean,
you used to go hard for the Iron Man simulator, man. What's going on?
No, it's like, I mean, the whole, honestly, I still, in my mind, I picture my Interceptor and I loved how that guy felt.
Woo!
It was so much fun, fast, fluid, jumping around, swiping, like the function of what they had for the 4 Max, I forget what they would be called now. The suits.
What they called? I forget. It's been so long. What's the javelins? I forgot what they were called. It's been so long. Damn. Continue.
Tassi doing his proper work, staying up on all lingo, so he's got us covered. The javelins in and of themselves were cool, but when you take something like No Man's Sky, they vastly under-delivered. They spent time and they gave what kind of more of what they had fully promised after time. I feel like Anthem tried to deliver a campaign. They had levels, they had quote strikes, and then they're in game with like the Cataclysm and stuff. I'm like, I don't know how you, unless as Tassi said, like, do you do a completely separate campaign? Is it like a free sequel? Like, I don't know how you move the whole,
good point,
everything that happened. I don't know how you move it forward, because some people, unless they're gonna, like Final Fantasy did it right. They're like, we're shutting it down. We're breaking the entire universe, and then you're reborn. Like, that was the name, was Reborn, because you were born again and they started over. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. They need to almost pull one of those at this point.
Right.
For at least thematically, for things to make sense, and shut it down and have a new campaign and all of that stuff. Hopefully their campaign is a little different than Outriders, because those are going to be a little close.
Right.
Well, the other problem is I think whatever they do has to be free too.
Hello, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, because like Reaper of Souls and Taken King were both paid expansions, and like no one is going to be like, okay, there's say there is a big Anthem expansion, like no one's going to pay $40 for more Anthem content outside of like us, like the ultimate hardcore people who would be into it. Like people would laugh that out. And so if it does have to be free, how much work are you really going to devote to that? And especially when you can buy Anthem by itself now for like $5 or whatever, so this is why I'm amazed BioWare's even doing this in the first place. Like,
I know.
I just this decision-making process, like I'm not some, business executive, so I don't know behind the scenes, but to me, it just seems like they should have learned some important lessons about gameplay and loot and stuff, and then just like throwing all that into Mass Effect and go back to the series people want to play and like be like, well, we tried it, didn't work out.
Right.
That's it. So like I'm just amazed that this is the path they went down. And while I hope it pans out, I can't believe this is the call they made, frankly.
No, it's a good point. Good. I was gonna let you finish, but you know say what you point.
It's just, I mean, so Abdil and Shadow saying is like calling it No Man's Sky isn't fair. It's like one is a looter, one is a pure sandbox, and that's fair. Point. It's like they're not, but it's like it's more of like one is a giant sandbox to explore planets and stuff like that, and the others is definitely it's a looter fighter shooter, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
But it's still got a point to where of those of us who played it, I mean, you played 50 hours, you played through the campaign, you leveled up your
Mhm.
character, you did the strikes, you
Mhm.
kind of did the higher tiers, and like we played what encompassed most of a game. It's just it died.
Right.
So to do it, I mean, the only way you can charge for it is to literally. I mean, that's why I was like, I don't know how you do it for free.
Right.
Businessly, I don't businessly. There's a fun
Businessly.
word.
I like that. I'm using businessly. I like that. That's smooth.
There you go. Miriam, just right here, first time said it.
Oh, good, brother.
From a business sense, I don't know how the free thing makes sense for the cost it's going to take to make something that is substantial enough to bring people back.
Yeah.
But if you put that much time into it, do you call it like Anthem 2? I mean, are you do
Yeah.
Reaper of Souls, or do you call it an expansion and charge, say, 25, 30 for a smaller expansion? I don't know how it falls, but to do it for free, I'm with you, Paul. I don't know how that makes sense. But
Mhm.
again, I don't know who's going to pay for something, but they need to
Right.
charge, so
Mhm.
they get something for it. So they're in a lose-lose. I don't understand how it works.
I think I got a hustle for them that they can do, and it's actually going to transition into
Cut that New
the
Jersey
next.
hustle up there.
Yeah, I got a hustle for them. I'm working on some hustles for them, like, and it's actually going to transition into the next game I want us to talk about, which is Division. But I think we all listen. The game is dead as a door now. It's not even talk about the player counts, the interactivity with the game.
5
We get
people.
it exactly. Now here's the thing: we know even if they redo this game, revamp it, fix the gameplay loop, they cannot come out the gate and say, "Hey, for a smooth $40, a new expansion," or what I'm saying. Like you can you have to earn the goodwill of the people who you burned, who invested into this game, right? So you have to do something kind of like what Division is doing, which is kind of like you give the game away for free, pretty much, right? You give a free update, let's just say, with a lot of just the gameplay loop changes, right? So you give the community the feel and say, okay, this is, Armor 2.0, or this is Loot 2.0. This is how it's working. Everybody starts getting the feel, okay, all right, we like this gameplay loop. And then maybe you stack it, or, with a stagger it with like maybe a week to 2 weeks of an expansion, right? Afterwards, after people get it, they say, hey, we like what's going on here. We like this direction. Then you come out with your Cataclysm, right? Or whatever that content that you were supposed to deliver on the roadmap. And I think that's the only way you could possibly sell it. I mean, I would love for all of that to be all inclusive and free. I don't know how that works from a business lease perspective. You know what I'm saying? But I got
that
to
doesn't stick.
That's the new joint. So like, I don't know how that works, but you have to earn back the trust of your community. You have to show them that you are committed to this game. And I think maybe that's one way. I want to shout out Slow. He says, this is how you do it. Completely revamp the base game and improve the experience, make the campaign better, fix the gameplay loop, kind of what I said. They're not long. Yeah, you say the same thing. Slow, me and you on the same point. He said they're not long after that, have an expansion that is paid. That's literally because I think that is the smart play, what Division is trying to do right now. We know Division is where it's at, and we'll get into that why. But I think what's cool is like that, $3 right now. Everybody who want it. $3, get in, get down, lay down. We got $3. You know you want it now.
You can't argue for $3.
There's free. It's basically free 99, right? So you get everybody back in the base, right? You give a little small, little patch update, say, hey, this, whatever. Then you already know Warlords is coming and blah, blah, blah. And I think that's the way. I kind of like when Division does. I just hate that they have to wait this long to get the player base so upset before they decide to do these things. But I think that may be the shot Anthem got. But I'm going to bring it back to you, Tassi. Like, do you think that could be viable for Anthem as far as that kind of a strategy? Or
I think it's more viable than any other option I've heard. And like, I believe in rewarding a dev for working hard. And if they're going to spend 6-8 months reworking it and doing all this work, like, I think that's probably worth $40. It's just a matter of convincing people that already spent $60 that they deserve $40 more dollars.
Facts.
So it kind of reminds me of Diablo 3. So like they introduced Loot 2.0 and like adventure mode and rifts, and I think you could do a lot of that without necessarily buying Reaper of Souls. So you could like experiment with it, and then if you wanted it to do like the full new campaign content, then you would buy that. So that seems the most viable to me. And like I know Anthem would get laughs out of the door if they debut something that costs money. But that's the only reason any of this makes sense. Because otherwise, what? The game costs nothing. The microtransaction store is like one of the most optional I've ever seen in a game like this. Like, and then if the new rework expansion is totally free, like it's why would they be doing this at all if at the end of the road they didn't think they could charge for stuff? Like No Man's Sky did it where at least for a while they were just it was all free and they were charging people. They just wanted people to pick up the base game, which was still like it still cost something. And so that was the plan for them, but also they weren't owned by EA and didn't have quite as high of profit expectations too. So another part of me wonders how much of this is just reputation building and just so BioWare can say we did it. Like we don't want 2 screw ups in a row between Andromeda and Anthem. So like even if it costs us, like people will respect us for putting in the hard work and like fixing the game, and that they can show up or not, but like we did it, like we are making amends and we're still making good things. And then if the next Dragon Age is good, the next Mass Effect's good, then they're back to being BioWare that we respect and are like a treasured studio, which I don't think they're quite in the same spot as they used to be. So part of me wonders if that's a pretty significant factor here and what BioWare might be willing to sacrifice just to get some of that goodwill back.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, I'll let you finish up with Anthem, and then I want to pivot to Division. But you agree with what Tassi's saying? Where you at, you?
No, I mean, it's like both of what you guys are saying. Even if it was, as you're saying, take all that stuff like the Loot 2.0, the adventures, like whatever they're going to do for Anthem, take that stuff, bring it in, whether it's a public test realm situation to try some new stuff, and like have people who are active in the game be like, hey, invite anybody who's still like an active player. Hey, this is what we're working on for Anthem 2.0, whatever you want to call it. We want you guys to kind of help test it, help work with your community, be a little more open with what's going on and kind of be forward facing, but also, give those tests of, hey, this is take the system they're going to put in, work on putting that in the game so people can try it. So no, I totally agree with a way to do that, but I don't think whatever they do can be for free, but I do think it could be the PR move of we're trying to be like an Ubisoft now. We're not going to let our games die. We're going to take our Siege for 3 years and turn it into something.
Right.
They're going to try and stick with their games a little longer, or at least prove, as you said, for the PR phase to say, hey, our games don't totally suck. See how long we worked on this one? Even if this doesn't start good, we're going to make sure it's good. Like, stick with us. We're in for the long haul type thing. So maybe I'm with just trying to go with that. So I mean, that makes sense, actually.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's literally what it is. I mean, I think it's reputation, it's community trust, and I think it's one of those things where they look at the franchise as a whole and say, look, there's still a foundation here that is worth salvaging for maybe a future sequel, right? So let's not completely abandon. Let's put some work in on this base to get the gameplay loop or whatever it is to where the community actually likes it. Kind of end almost like you ending off like Division 1, right? You it started off kind of, and then you bring it back up. They started adding modes and stuff like that, and you get it to a point of respectability. And then next generation consoles, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, it's like, boom, maybe, in the middle of the cycle, Anthem 2 now, with all the things you learned, right? And now the graphical fidelity, so the damn consoles can actually handle the game.
Yeah, so it doesn't fly away on you. Oh my God. I forgot Anthem. I think it was my brother's kids. They were playing on their normal PS4, and I'm pretty sure it either shut down or flew away. So.
It shut down my Xbox One X.
X, damn.
Yeah. I didn't even know that was possible, but yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and listen, I had it on both, and Anthem was rough on console. I almost felt it was way too ambitious for console. Thankfully, E, I was with you, or PC Master Race, that one. And it was that. Oh, it was nice. Oh, it was nice. That 60 frame. Oh, it was beautiful. You take off into the sky. Oh, it was amazing. So hopefully now with the next generation CPUs, the Ryzen's and Zens, everything, those SSDs, it would really be a nice showcase. So just now I want to transition to the last game, which was obviously Division. And we know what's going on now, as we hinted, they definitely came out with a title update, a new episode, and then they dropped the trailer for Warlords of New York. So more content, a lot of background rebuilding, gear set stuff, a lot of things the community, we're clamoring for. Shout out to my boy Gathallion. He's calling it what is it, the Division, the Taken King, or whatever, A lot of people are excited. Shout out to my boy Slow-Mo. He's in the chat right now. He's a hardcore Division guy. And, I wanted to bring it to you guys, at Campfire, just see, like, where where you think this thing can go? You know, have you even tried to throw it on? I know, Tassi, you feel very strongly about Division. I've seen your commentary about, you know, kind of leaving the game and no incentive to really come back. So any of this stuff excites you? Where are you at right now, Warlords of New York and the new Division content announced?
Yeah, so
Mhm.
it was very unexpected. I didn't think they would have an expansion of this size.
Oh, you lost
I didn't know they
oh,
were
yeah, you're
gonna.
back.
Sorry.
You're back. You went, yeah, cut out for a second, but you're back.
Yeah,
You're back.
I didn't know they would have an expansion of this size. That was frankly very surprising to me. I just didn't
Mhm.
think they were going to go down that road after the seasonal
Mhm.
models they had before.
Mhm.
I will say this. So this is definitely enough to get me back playing. I will
Okay.
pick it up on day one. I will play the
Mhm.
expansion.
Mhm.
I would be surprised if I like stick around to do a ton of end game grinding after that. Like I'm
Mhm.
curious to see how it works with the new stat system and stuff. But
Mhm.
all throughout the Division 2, I've had a problem kind of sticking with the end game. And maybe some of that
Mhm.
initially was like the stuff they kept introducing for the end game, like the raid, like just didn't
Mhm.
that didn't seem like it was for me at all. Like it was way too hard on
Mhm.
console at first, and then
Mhm.
I kind of gave up. And
Mhm.
I always like the Division in terms of the Division's campaigns are really good. So I am
Yeah.
very excited for the story missions and like the Aaron
Mhm.
Keener storyline and everything like
Yeah.
that. And
Mhm.
going back to New York, and like I used to live in Lower Manhattan, so I want to see if I can like see my
Oh,
place and like
salute.
stuff like that.
Salute.
So
Mhm.
I'm very excited just to get in and do that.
Mhm.
I just fundamentally
Mhm.
I like playing
Mhm.
almost every other loot shooter on the market more. Like in terms of the physical act of
Mm.
playing, I like
Sound
playing
like
Destiny
E.
more. I like playing
Mhm.
Borderlands more. I like playing Anthem more. I just think Anthem combat
Mm.
is more
He's loving
fun
this.
than the cover-based Division stuff. And I think for
Mm.
a third-person cover shooter, it's very
Mhm.
good, and it's gotten better in time even. But
Mhm.
if I'm splitting time between all these different games and I have to start choosing, and then if there's
Mhm.
new options that come out in
Mhm.
the fall, like
Mhm.
it is tough to see myself sticking with Division
Mhm.
longer term. Like
Mm.
it's enough where I will spend $40 on this expansion and play it and
Right.
beat it and play an extra 20, 30 hours of
Mhm.
end game.
Mhm.
But at this point it's hard for me to see the Division ever
Mhm.
rivaling Destiny in terms of my overall interest or engagement, which is not,
the the
that's not
Division
the end of the
haters.
world. Like I don't have
I
time
got
for
you.
another game like that. So it's fine, but I I don't know if this is going to be some like, huge
Mhm.
seen the light moment for the Division. I think it's just going to be
Mhm.
more solid content that I'll beat, and
Okay.
then I'll probably move on again.
Now let me before I pass it, because he's cheesy. He's having too much fun with all this commentary. He's loving everything you're saying. This a little internal battle. This is fun. But my question though is, okay, so what would Division have to do, or is there anything they could do to say, you know what, this now I like this direction? Like, is there any fundamental changes that you think is holding it back, or is just as simple as, hey, I don't like this cover thing, looter shooter style. I'm just not into this realistic kind of a, boots on the ground style thing where it's not as fun as being a mech, or it's not as fun as having space magic.
Honestly, it's probably that. And like
Mm,
I feel a little bad because I feel like the Division for what it is doing everything right for the
mm-hmm,
most part, and at least from what we've heard now is moving in the right directions. And I think these are
mm-hmm,
all improvements.
mm-hmm,
It's just will it ever, become a game that I want
mm-hmm,
to play at that level? And like
mm-hmm.
I played the Division 1 at that level kind of,
Right,
but that was back when Destiny wasn't as good as it is now, and there
right,
were
right.
no
Definitely was a low
other loot
point.
shooters essentially. So
Mm-hmm,
it
mm-hmm,
was like between that and like playing years old Diablo 3 and then like struggling through whatever Destiny was doing at the time. So I
mm-hmm,
put a lot more time into it. But
mm-hmm.
now when I have so many more options and everything is
Right.
kind of at an elevated level,
Mm-hmm.
I guess I have to start making the harder choices.
I
And
feel you. I
so
feel you.
it's not really even the Division's fault. It just at a certain point I have to realize that this is a series that like I like for certain aspects,
Right.
namely the campaign and like the
Mm-hmm,
environment design and stuff like
mm-hmm,
that. And then
mm-hmm,
no matter what they do, I'm probably just not going to prefer its
mm-hmm.
cover model to these
Right.
three other shooters that I find more enjoyable to play.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I can respect that. Let's get my boy Ian. He's been waiting. He's chomping. He's chomping.
You're
So
good.
so Ian, man, Warlords of New York, you're not enticed.
So I will try it. But for me, I'm in
Mm-hmm.
a similar boat as Paul for part of me when I'm playing games, whether it be Diablo or Destiny or I mean so many different ones that I'll play. It's like I'm trying to I'm trying to get away, not go put myself in the middle of New York with a gun, like having ultra realism. So it's to the point of like, I mean, I do enjoy the space magic aspect, like Anthem in these like crazy biomech suits. And then even the idea is like, I haven't seen Outriders. I'm going to call that something wrong at some point. I know I am. That title is going to screw me. Something about like, even as that is like, even if it's a cover shooter, but it's like, it's faster and there's abilities to it. It already seems a little more intriguing to me just because it takes, if it has good gunplay, like that's kind of a good thing. Destiny has amazing gunplay. Division has decent gunplay. I'm not going to argue, but it's, I mean, Destiny's just on a level of its own.
Oh, yeah, it's another level.
But if it has decent gunplay with abilities and skill tree and RPG to where I'm not just shooting another human in the, like, I'm putting a 50 caliber sniper in a dude's head and he's just fine. Just fine.
I got you. I got
so
you.
there are
that breaks immersion for you.
I mean, it's a game. I understand, like, yes, this dude has a huge health bar, so I'm trying to whittle it down. That's fine. But if I'm shooting like a monster or some crazy floating electric demon and he's got a little bit more work to put into him, in my head, that makes a little bit more sense.
Of course, I get
now,
that.
I know, like, now Division 2, when it put in like the armor mechanics and like chipping off the pieces and then they died really quickly when you did, that was a great way to combat that psychology bit. For me, that was like, I'm really tired of literally shooting a meat sponge.
Yes.
Like, that was not fun. So when they actually changed to the armor, that was kind of cool. But I tried too, and I kind of missed the window when I went to go try it. It was a little late. I tried it a bit with my brother and ended up playing with a friend who was literally like 30 and just like, he was just plowing through ahead of me. So it wasn't that. It's just kind of hard when you go from like Nova bombs and things like that to go to these little seeker drones. They don't quite have the same feel and pizzazz to them that I want. And also when it comes to like it's like the stats and stuff like that, it does still seem a little weird that like, you know, I've got more skill points. Just they always seemed a little, I don't mind stats to a point, but it was almost too much.
Oh, you found it was overkill. Almost too much minutia. Almost too much.
Too much. That's one of the things they're doing.
Yeah. So it's like if
almost too much Wait, hold on. I gotta push back at E right now. Hold on. This is the same man who wants Armor 2.0 to be this in-depth, robust, system, but
I said I want stats
division
to matter. I don't need 60,000 stats. There's a big difference.
Little old division can't have all these min-maxing options. Is that what we talk about? That's what we doing, E? Come on.
Okay,
man.
there are min-maxing options. That's fine. But I was like, it just didn't feel like and anybody in chat, you guys can freak the hell out if you want to. I played a fair amount of Division 1. I was at Darkstone. I had my fair amount of time in that one, kind of the same. But like Division 2, I did not play that much. So if I didn't even play through the full campaign in Division 2. So I'm not in the best space to talk about this. I'm just saying of my mentality towards the game.
I feel you.
I was like, I went through, it was like trying to figure out, okay, hey, I got this magazine. It's got 50% magazine instead of 47. Like I remember going for those rolls and that was like, it was a good way to get a little bit extra on your weapons. But after a while, it just kind of ran out of gas for me. For whatever reason, I can't put a pin on it or put a,
It is hard to put a pin on. That's something I struggle with.
No, I get it. I think you both nailed it. I think there's one aspect of the cover aspect, the kind of more methodical kind of thing. There's the other aspect of the realism, and kind of breaking the immersion in the MMO space and realism. You know what I mean? I get where you guys are going. Let me jump in. This is a fun one because I think what it is for me, I thought when they came out the box, right? I was like, wow, this is probably one of the best launches to a looter shooter I've seen in some time. They felt refined. They felt like they learned all the lessons from Division 1, and I was thoroughly enjoying it. I got to 30, I had a good time. Now, where they lost me, and shout out to Sundial if he's in the chat, he's hardcore Division, shout out to Slomo, is that when it came down to the end game, because I was surprised by this, they even seemed like they had the end game lined up correctly. They were going to say, hey, we're going to do a raid here, we're going to do this, we're going to have all this content. Then the raid drops, and shout out to my boy, Marco style, but it drops, and it's like you need this very specific build to be able to even deal with the first boss. And I'm like, Now, the thing that really aggravated me was that they just felt, to me, I got the vibe that Massive felt arrogant, like, nope, we're not changing this. This is how it's staying. And you've got this small percentage of console guys that didn't even beat the raid, this super small percentage that on PC that just barely did it. And I was just surprised how dug in they were to not listening to their community be upset. So I'm like, all right, let's see how long this lasts. And then it kept going, and then I kept hearing other things, and and it got to the point where I'm like, I'm seeing my hardcore Division content creators playing Destiny. I'm like, I'm waking up one day and Marco Style is like, I'm doing Destiny. I'm like, what is going on?
I was floored. Yeah.
I'm like, so at my mind, I'm like, okay, what happened to the Division? This to me was one of the most surprising falls from grace that I've seen with a looter shooter that had such a dominant start, in my opinion. So now, people fall away from it. Okay, cool, for correct reasons. They start to come back finally. Now they're starting to put in these updates, that people are clamoring for, so to speak. As far as this, the New York thing, I love it. I have a soft spot. I'm a New Yorker. That's just, that's where I'm in, Bronx, New York. So I love all this stuff from that standpoint. I want to see where they go. I love the fact that I think what they do that Ubisoft does is really good is when they know the game's dead, they have this great way of getting you back in as far as making, the price low and getting you back in and stuff like that, and then setting up the content. The key is going to be, how long it keeps us engaged. As far as the end game, from my understanding, there's still no raid coming. You know what I'm saying? No other raid coming. I just want to make sure that they learn the mistakes of their end game problem. You know what I'm saying? Because you cannot not listen to your community, especially when the numbers are showing that people are not engaging in that. And the same thing with, the dark zones and so on and so forth. So I'm pulling for them. I'm going to give it a shot. I just want to see what happens. I want to see if, people really, get invested again and if it can, make a comeback. But where are you guys at with that part?
Yeah, I mean, I that was the exact moment Division 2 lost me too, was the raid, where it's like, okay, how have I put 100, 150 hours into this and like have top tier stuff, and like then this is just this end game activity that I don't even have a prayer for. And it was the difficulty, but it was the first activity that didn't have matchmaking.
Yeah,
and like there was like I didn't even know where to start looking for an 8-person group for that. Like, I guess I guess I could have like hit up Twitter or something with all my followers, but like besides that, like there's no like Division LFG, there's no app like from massive matching people, so like it was going to be a huge pain to even get people together for it.
Good point.
And then if it was like impossible to complete and like no console players even beat it in like the first 72 hours or something, because it was just that. And like I don't want to spend 21 hours at this. And so like eventually they made changes, and like they made some easier, and then you could level up more and do it. But like at that point I'm not going to go back to it. And like and weirdly, like I don't think after that they really ran into a situation like that. Like the stuff they did add after that was not that level of crazy difficulty. Like they did some of the like the Kenley College assignments or whatever those were, and like I came back from that a little bit. I think I missed whatever the Act 2 update was, but I think that was just like some missions, and it wasn't anything like super major. So they never really ran into that situation again, and yet that was the point where it just like kicked me off the cliff, and then I didn't come back after that really. So from what it sounds like for Warlords of New York, it doesn't like, at the very least, I can play. I'm assuming I can play through the story campaign perfectly normally with my existing characters, considering like they're going to let blank level 30 people do it, and like I have at least some gear from way back when, so I think I should be fine. If there's some crazy raid at the end, like maybe that'll be a problem again, but it does seem to me like they've learned that lesson. It's just that it was so jarring when it happened in the first place. Like that was all I needed to just like peace out and move out.
Yeah, I agree. Shout out to Slow Mo. He said you needed to have a specific build when the game was almost impossible to mid-max because they intentionally prevented god rolls and they gimped retooling your gear like in Division 1. And that was the consensus I heard from the hardcore, that they were very, very upset with that aspect. And, they've got to fix it. I'm kind of on a different side from you, E, in the sense that I do like the gear set aspect that they bring to actually to armor and stuff, and I kind of wish Destiny would steal that.
Oh,
like,
no, I'd love to see gear sets in
gear
Destiny.
sets
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, there's certain things about it I do like. Now, of course, you are right. There's a ton of information. There's a ton of minutia. Maybe there could be a level of streamlining it to make, and I heard that's coming too, apparently, with that update with Warlords of New York as well, to get a person like you, E, to say, okay, this is a little bit more fluid. This is a UI that I can kind of attached to.
Like, and I'll dive into
Mhm.
a crazy amount of stats. I've done that in other games before. It was just something about after a while. It was this thing is adding like here's this magazine that's like 48%, 49%, 50%, and it was
Mhm.
every single thing had that on it. It felt like
Right. Right.
so like whether it was the armor, it was just everywhere, and it's not like
Mhm.
it was consolidated in any piece. It was just like there was to a point. It was like I don't mind stats to.
Mhm.
That's what I was saying. It was like I want more. I want stats to matter
Mhm.
more. But it
Right.
was just the fact that it was like we have an issue of rolls of randomness in Destiny.
Right.
There is probably a different level of that in Division of what you're trying to find, like if you're
Right.
looking for a good roll as well. So it was
Right.
always, I don't know. I haven't played it that much, so that's why I've kind of let you
Mhm.
guys touch this one a bit more.
No, no, no,
Because
I
for
get
me,
it.
I've been a bit out of the
Mhm.
Division game. So,
Yeah.
but I was
that's fair
curious
enough.
to see. I was like, okay, they're going back to New York. This is like
Mhm.
Division 2.1 or something. So like, I don't know what you call it,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's definitely a way to go back. It was funny to see. Now, is it a
Mhm.
1-to-1 this time? I heard, or is it just
It is.
reusing last time around?
No,
They rebuilt it
it's a
all.
new zone. It's not reusing Division 1 stuff. Because
Mhm.
So
the
yeah.
old map didn't go to Lower Manhattan. It stopped like
Right.
somewhere.
Mhm.
So I'm pretty sure it's almost all new.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and if it's 1-to-1, I was like, that seems kind of cool. But it's again
Yeah.
like,
Right.
what is going to keep me hooked on it? And I guess that's just what I'll have to see because as there's always so many more. Then you're going to have Godfall. What is that one?
Godfall.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's like a
Avengers.
looter.
Avengers is a loot shooter.
Avenger. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Avengers. Yeah, as a
Avengers.
loot shooter. Oh my god, I don't even know. But like Godfall, if that's like a next gen and it's more, just a little
Mhm.
bit more fantasy sci-fi. But if it's a looter slasher or whatever they want to call these damn
Mhm.
things now, I don't know on
Looter
I don't
slasher.
know on titles anymore. But
Uh,
there's gonna be so many. If I'm just still shooting guns in Manhattan, maybe
mhm.
sometimes I just want to escape to something a little crazier.
No, I feel you. I mean,
And
look,
again, that's
I'm
just a preference on what people want to play. Not knocking Division, because from
no, I
what
know.
I've like Division honestly is like Paul said it. It's like for being a third person like realistic cover shooter, they do it well. Like
Right.
their cover system, honestly, after playing Gears, Division stepped all over Gears cover on it personally
Easy.
because
Mhm.
I mean, Gears for me, like Gears 5 was fine. But like
Mhm.
when I like just the feel of the cover and like the sticky and moving around, Division
Mhm.
felt good on cover. And I will say, like, that
Mhm.
system, somebody make sure you keep that alive because their cover
Right.
system has been solid. So
No, I
there's
feel
certain
you.
things I have enjoyed, but it's just like
Mhm.
what's gonna keep me going.
No, I feel you. Look, no, and for me, I'll finish up just like, I'm pulling for them. I want to see, what happens. I think we're in this unique period with Destiny based on Bungie being on their own, based on the level of, frequency with the content and stuff, and these kind of gaps, right? So I think I don't want to say Destiny's in trouble or anything. Like I think it's a perfect opportunity if any of these games, whether it be Outriders, whatever, what I'm saying, Division, and Anthem can get their act together, right? Because we all agree with the seasonal model, there's gonna be some time for break for the hardcore like us. And this is where they can kind of swoop in and say, hey, we've got this content going on right now, check us out. And like Destiny currently right now, I think is affording us the ability to actually like Destiny in the past is a selfish game. Destiny old school D1, like you don't have time to be, you know what I'm saying? With Shadowkeep drops, with Taken King drop, you don't have time to be grinding no second looter shooter. You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. So I think if Division is smart, you know what I'm saying? Like this is the time to try to do what your community wants and get people invested again. So I'm just gonna pay attention from from a distance. I'll jump in. I'll see what happens. I wish they had cross save. Man, I wish they had
Yeah.
cross play. Like I want to be able to play on PC and it's very daunting to me because I haven't really gone. All my stuff is on my Xbox One X, and it's like daunting to start from there. But I will give them credit. They're doing a Destiny style onboarding where I believe if you create a new character, you're automatically at 30, and then you can go to 40. So they're at least doing that aspect. But in the future, I really hope that they onboard. I mean, as far as cross save and stuff like that, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, Destiny does have that over just
Mm-hmm.
about all these because just being able to
Yeah.
hop on wherever is
Mm-hmm.
still
That has
so much more
totally
than people.
changed. Yeah, I play
Yeah.
so much more now that I can do on
Yes.
PC and
Yeah.
console.
Mm-hmm.
Like, way more.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a game changer a lot of people have to learn from because not every, I mean, even if you have a PS4 and a PS5 in different rooms for some of these newer cross generation games, like, I mean, Outriders and stuff, like,
Yeah.
I'm at my
Mhm.
friend's house, he's got a PS4. Well, hey, you should still get this and I can come play with you or come over to mine. It looks fancier over here. It's like
Mhm.
that switch that's just got to be a more common thing, but we've got to get cross play. So that's a different
Mhm.
game. So,
Yeah. That's what I got on the competition. Glad you guys answered.
Yeah,
Curious.
I mean,
Mhm.
we are coming right up on about 2
Yep.
hours here, so I do want to
Mhm.
respect Paul's time since we have had him
Yes.
for a chunk this morning.
Mhm.
But sir, I mean, I want to definitely thank you for coming again. Always welcome. Pleasure to have you. Enjoy the
Mhm.
articles. Keep them going. Always a pleasure to read them
Always
all.
do.
Believe me. Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
You're like it's kind of my job.
Always.
Yep.
Always, man. Always. One of the best. One of the best. Paul Tassi in the building, man. What you got going on, man? For
Writing about
future.
5 articles a day, daily Destiny column. Fifth book in production. We'll see when that
Ooh,
comes
we get
out,
some new
but-
sci-fi novel flavor.
Yep.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to throw that in an intro.
Still working on it, but it's a sequel to my last book, Your Killer. So that'll be out one way or another.
Nice.
Hopefully in
Do
the
you
next.
record your own
year.
audiobooks, by the way?
I do not record my own audio.
You gotta get on that. It's an
auditions,
untapped.
but-
That's an untapped market for
It's a
those
market
Audible
right
listeners.
Man, there's way better voices than me that could do it.
You just need to hire Bife. He might be
I
expensive.
am seriously considering that. that would be very cool.
That would be
That
cool, man.
That would be freaking awesome, actually.
The,
so.
the sultry sounds.
This voice sounds familiar. Oh, I know why. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. I do it. Awesome to have you here, man. It's always a pleasure. You know you're welcome by the campfire anytime, man. This is a ton of fun. Love picking your brain. We love these looter shooters and seeing where these things go, and it's just fun. It's always fun to have these discussions.
I'm just worried we're getting saturated because there's
Mhm.
only more coming.
Some will die, you know.
Some will. Yeah. Some have.
Yeah,
some
will die.
have. They're
Yeah.
looking
Listen.
for heart and mouth-to-mouth resuscitation right now. But
Yep.
I'm with you. E. I think at the end of the day, man, as much as we complain about Destiny, as much as sometimes things aren't where they are, that core gameplay loop, it's just something about it that it just can't, it won't go away, man. It just they've got that base formula that we just keep coming back, and it'll be interesting to see what the competition does, but I still got faith in Destiny. They're gonna be fine. And, hey, they got trials coming back, so I'm completely biased right now. So there's not they could do no wrong as long as
next
it's for
time we
the
get Paul
Egyptian
back
team.
in here, it's going to be a very different discussion. Be like there's either flames in the tower or everybody's hunky dory, but I doubt it's going to be. It's probably both, actually. But
Oh yeah, absolutely, man.
well, that's pretty
Mhm.
much all we got. Quick outro, Cognito. Just keep it short,
Mhm.
and we will wrap
Yes,
this
sir.
thing up.
Yeah, man. You already know at Lord Cognito on Twitter, Iron Lord Podcast on YouTube every Sunday, the Lord's Day. Big guest this Sunday. Please check us out. 1 p.m. We have from Kotaku news editor Jason Schreier. So come hang out with us. It's gonna be a fun episode. We're gonna pick some brains. We're gonna talk about development hell and Anthem stories and division stories and just investigative reporting. Please, the support has been tremendous, and of course, lordsofgaming.net. Thank you guys so much. You guys have been retweeting the articles. We really appreciate it. And we, as a result, will be media at PAX East, man. So I'm super pumped. I'm hype about that. Start covering some more games. And of course, every Friday, the best damn Destiny podcast. You know how we do. Last word with my man Ebontis approaching 50,000 subscribers or something like that, right? We moving out here. E. I remember when I first met you. You were like,
I broke 46
Two.
recently, so I'm working on it. So.
Yo, we gotta
Trying.
get this man 50. He's one of the best in the game, and salute to my brother, because what I love about your content, you always, for the guy who's not the hardcore guy, you always make it easy to onboard. You're the onboarding guy to help people. I go to you, I'm like, what's going on with these obelisks? All right, I'm watching the Ebontis video right now. What am I supposed to be doing? And you do a fantastic job. So let's get E to 50K. He deserves it. And the other thing is we're going to get E, we're going to get him down to one of those Bungie summits, and we're going to get him in there too. That's the goal. We need his input in that so he can get his Armor 2.0 fix on.
Yeah. Hey, if I ever go, I'm hitting Paul with a DM while I'm flying out there. So yeah, that would be. You could push me over with a feather if I ever got that invite. So that's totally fine. That would be a dream. But yeah, thank you guys for all the support lately, for listening here, for listening on audio as well. It's on Anchor. It's on basically every podcast platform, but Anchor's our host, so they have been awesome. So thank you guys all for that one. And thank you all for just following, liking, responding to Paul's articles. It's always good to see the comments in there because generally at this point, it's nice just to see the commentary over a topic that we're all thinking about. It's always nice that he brings it to everybody's forefront. And then, of course, please, yes, go listen to Iron Lords podcast. Jason Schreier on there is going to be a great guest because that is... Honestly, if you've been paying attention to gaming, he's done some of the best investigations that we've probably ever seen
Yeah.
So I'm very curious.
He's
to see
the
what he has
best
to say.
gaming journalist.
Yeah,
Like, I'll say that as someone.
Listen to that.
He's like,
Let me
he's the best one.
can I fanboy out for a minute?
I'm sure, because like, no,
I got
when you
fanboy
said
for a
that, I was
second.
like, damn. Like,
I'm a
there you
fanboy
go.
out for a second. I
Yeah.
rarely do this, but like, obviously, I haven't been doing content creating too long, and I looked at this week's schedule, and I'm like, I got two of my favorites in one week. Like, if you would have ever told me, like, yo, one day you're gonna do a show with Tassi and Schreier in the same week, I'm like, I made it, baby, I made it. Like, so salute to you two. I don't want to undersell you too, man. Like, bro, you are one of the best video game journalists. Your passion for Looter Shooter show and everything you do, and you're one of the most approachable and cool people that most people don't realize that. So salute to you, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. We always love you by the campfire, and it's just a great week. So I'm very blessed to be able to podcast with two people I really respect in journalism.
Thanks, man. That means a lot. Appreciate it.
Salute, brother. Salute.
Well, I don't know how to top that. I may as well
Yeah,
just
it's good.
And you're okay too, E.
yeah, I'm just over here waving my little white flag. Hold on. No, but yeah, no, that's honestly amazing. So yeah, definitely listen to that one, guys. And for all that you're doing, be it playing games, just have fun. If you need a break from Destiny, take it. If you want to try something else, take it. If you want to read an article about 3 different games that Paul's going to write out every day, read them. Find a way to like enjoy your time, have fun, and just do what you want to do. There's so many freaking games out there and console craziness going on. You're not going to be bored. Just find something you're having fun with. So we're going to try this crazy outro as we always do. So whenever I say it has been, we're all going to try and say the last word together. But joys of editing, I make it match every time. So can't really mess it up. But for everybody, thank you guys. The show has been awesome. Chat has been awesome. Thank you guys all as well for being here live. This has been episode 90, February 14th. Happy Valentine's to everybody. Hopefully you have an awesome one. And it has been
The last word.